Let's go, pal.
Hello and welcome. It is Thursday night, and here I am, as always, every Thursday night for years. Like something that happens over and over again at the same time. I can't think of the word, but you know what I mean. How's everyone doing? Happy Thursday. Happy 2021, huh? Yeah, great times. Great times so far this year. How's everybody doing? Hey, Nick. Hello, Ryler D. It is nuclear alien war out here. That's right, Matus. Anything could happen. Especially if it involves Skyrim, American Truck Simulator, Fallout 4, or XCOM. I think that... Oh, and World of Warcraft. Those are the things that are in my intro mashup. Yeah. 2020. Yeah, hold my beer. Yep. Well, let's not judge too harshly. We're only... Well, or we should just judge extra harshly. We're only on our 7th day. So, you know, it could make up for it later, right? If it gets better for most of the rest of the year, does that count? Or... or do we just need to write this one off? I'm still optimistic. I'm still optimistic that this year is going to... my shirt's on. Okay. I'm optimistic that this year is gonna... is gonna be good. It could be good. I'm not gonna predict that it will be good, only that it could be good. It's a people dancing on 2020's grave have caused 2021 to be worse. Yeah, I actually, for some reason, I was worn out this week, and I'm still tired. In fact, it was one of those nights where I was like, I'm a little too tired to stream. I think I might be too tired to stream. I'm not in a bad mood. Like I think that one night that I streamed, I decided like I gotta be careful what kind of mood I'm in before I hit the stream button. Because if I'm in the wrong kind of bad mood, maybe it's not gonna work out so well. Hey Ashley, how you doing? You're optimistic that I'll have 365 days? There are only a few cosmological events that could prevent that from happening, Matus. I'm willing to wager that such events will not occur. The orbital physics governing the Earth's relationship with the sun will not be tampered with. So we're on the same page there. But yeah, I know earlier in the week I was just tired. Like work was getting under my skin, but it wasn't like work was bad. I think I was just tired. Sometimes I just have tired weeks. I don't know. I just noticed I was more irritable. Like things were happening that were, granted, they were things that are irritating, but I was getting more irritated than I should have been. And like I had like a headache too. So it's like the chicken or the egg. Was I more irritable because I had a headache, or did I have a headache because I was irritable? It's hard to say. So, and I actually, when I woke up on Wednesday, I was still feeling like I was tired and my head hurt, and I was already like ruminating over the things that I was going to have to do and like pissed off about them. And I was just like, you know what? I need to reset. I need to reset. And so I'd taken some days off over the holidays, but it'd been a while since I called off. So I was just like, hey, you guys, I need a day to reset. And I was having a nice day until about halfway through. All of a sudden I was like, what's this on? What's this? What are my friends talking about on Facebook right now? Oh, this can't be happening. So, and I'm not going to talk about, I learned my lesson. I'm not going to talk about that. But let's just say, yesterday, for a day to just stay home and relax and have a mental reset, I will tell you one thing. I stopped thinking about work. So when I got up this morning, whatever it was that I was bothered about happening in my job, I was just like, who cares? Just wanted to take care of it. But, and hey, I do need total Snickers commercials. Hunger for naps. You've noticed that I can get a little bit cranky, Brad? I mean, on any given stream, usually if I push past 10, you might see a sudden crash. Where I'm just like, all of a sudden I'm like, hey guys, I think I need to go now. I'm tired. And hello, Evie. You can only stay an hour. That's okay. I'm only committing to staying about an hour. But as normally happens when I'm tired, and I tell my wife, I think I might be I'm thinking about whether I should stream or not. I'm a little too tired. And she's like, almost every time you say that and then you stream, you end up feeling better because you streamed and you hung out with your friends. And I'm like, I know. But this week, maybe it's different. Remember that one time a couple weeks ago? That's the only stream. I unlisted that stream for a few weeks ago. It wasn't like there was a bunch of drama, but I was in a bad mood that stream. Broke my 69 minutes. Hey, Ethan, what's up, man? And Noxire, did I say hi, Noxire? I think I answered your comment, but I don't know if I said hi. Is it time for political G-Law? G-Law 4.0! Brad, I did, and hey, Justin, man. Call, what's up, buddy? Tired, Chris plays games cranky. Oh, see, Chris plays games also gets drunk. That's one thing that I don't do on my streams. Like, if you saw me in a bad mood and drinking and tired, I could guarantee it would not. Well, I don't do that because I don't drink because it's like I don't like the fact that if I get in if I get in a negative mindset, things can get unpleasant. Not that I'm like someone that, I'm not like a violent drunk or anything like that, but it's just like I'll be irritated with myself the next day. Just like, oh man, I'm just embarrassed. He goes nuts. Oh boy. So, no, Brad, about if I went political, I think I mentioned to some of you guys that when I first started YouTube, it was on a different channel. And it was like in 2006 or 2007. And I did kind of very awkward and shitty blogs, and it was about political discussions. And it was just me and like 2 or 3 apartments ago, sitting in my kitchen, like with my kitchen in the background, very awkwardly and nervously trying to like discuss a certain topic, and it was not good. And then the attention that I did get, like people would start arguing with me, and I would get all pissed off, and eventually I decided, and I did that channel somewhat. I didn't put out videos all the time. I was never like a regular. But I did that channel for a couple years, and finally I was just like, I was tired of having wars, like battles in my comments and arguing with like people that come in my channel to dispute my viewpoints. Which is, I mean, nothing against them. That's exactly what you're gonna get if that's the kind of content you put out, is people, especially if you make videos like, I don't understand how anyone could believe this. How could you believe this? You're gonna get people that are gonna come into your channel and be like, well, here's why, asshole. You know, and they're just like, okay, whatever. Hunts rabbits and other small mammals. Sometimes I do that. I was doing that during my last stream. We all like games. We can disagree on politics. Exactly, Justin, man. And so that's like when I decided to try doing a gaming channel. My first thought was, should I somehow try to leverage, because I hadn't put any content on that channel for like 6 years, maybe 5 years. And my first thought was, well, I still got like, I think I had 800 subscribers that were still just, they just never unsubscribed. They were just there. And I was like, oh, I could just sort of reboot that channel as a gaming channel. But then I was like, well, no, nobody came to that channel. No one subbed for that channel to be a Let's Play channel. And then also, whoever does come back, I don't want to be like someone who remembers like, oh, that's that piece of shit that disagreed with my political opinions. that argued with me and tried to shut me down when I was trying to express myself. I was like, nah, we'll keep I think I made an announcement on that channel that I was starting a gaming channel, but I specifically said, I'm starting it on a different channel because I don't want to do what I used to do here. I don't want to. So if anyone sees this and they're wondering what I'm up to, and you could come over to the Gaming Lawyer channel and hang out with me and not talk about the stuff we used to talk about on this channel. Yeah, Star Wars politics. No one feels passionate about Star Wars. There's all sorts of people get passionate and combative about everything, but you know, certain topics are a little more dire than others. Let me see. I'm never missing comments. But yeah, that was the general idea, was like the Gaming Lawyer channel. I've said a lot of times of why I don't want to talk politics on here is that like there's a million places where you can go online and fight with people about politics, and there should be like places where you can go to not fight, just to share in the things that you have in common with other people rather than the things that divide you. So that's what I've tried to make this be about, and that's why, and unless I'm in a very bad mood and something's under my skin and someone brings up something that like touches a nerve that's political, and I like that one night and I started talking a little bit about it, and later I was like, that was probably a mistake. It's just not what I do here. Your excessive political tweeting from yesterday did not save the Republic. Brad, I'm surprised. Yeah. On my personal Facebook page, even there, I avoid posting political things. I did ramping up to, and again, I'm not going to talk politics or like what I was talking about, but there was a lot of like leading up to the 2016 election. There was just a lot of this going on, and I was engaged in that on my Facebook channel. And I actually had like friends from high school sending me private messages that I hadn't heard from in years, saying, "Hey, I've been watching the arguments you've been having with people on your Facebook page. You know, and it's like, not that I disagree with you, but maybe you don't need to be having those arguments in front of the whole internet." It's like, that's kind of a good point. And I basically reined it in at a certain point. I was just like, nope, that's enough. I'm done with that. So Yeah, so I very rarely would post anything political. Even in my personal life. I keep it like, you know, keep that stuff in a pretty tight circle. He is laid back and funny and can care less here. And that's, yeah, Justin, man. And I mean, that's how I consider myself most of the time. But like anyone, like most people, we all have different sides to us. And I do have a serious and intense side. It's just that it happened to also just have a very casual and goofy side. And I associate my real personality more with that side than I do with the serious, sometimes argumentative side. I mean, I am a lawyer, right? But as I've said, I'm not that kind of lawyer that wants to go into a courtroom and fight with other lawyers. But I do have that, you know, and it's not because I went to law school. I've always had that kind of way of positional, like, thinking, coming up with arguments and that sort of thing. Porn bots, horny for gaming channels. Before YouTube gaming was a thing, only subscribers to my channels are a porn bot. Okay, I'm going backwards. The de-stress channel. That's sort of what I hope to have here, and that's normally how this channel has been for me. And sometimes it's gotten. I mean, I've been through some stuff over the past few years, and sometimes I vent about it and things like that. But it's always like, it's not a combative place. Sometimes out there we have things that happen to us, and it's not every day is a happy day, but most days on the Gaming Lawyer channel are, I think. We might be getting 2K a month. I haven't even been following that. People are gonna be on. Well, we'll see what happens. Yeah, it's a new year. There's gonna be some changes, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, we got our 600 thing too, so that was cool. Hopeful, yeah, Nick. I'm hopeful. You know what? I randomly look at my old stream sometimes, and I randomly watched about 2 minutes of my 45th birthday stream, and that was a rough year. And I remember, that was the year my dad died, when I was 44, and I was talking about how I was happy to, usually once you get like in your 40s, getting to the next year, it's not like, yay, I'm older now, I'm a big boy. It's more like, oh shit, now I'm 1 year further away from 25. and that year there were still some bad things going on. My uncle was in the hospital, he ended up dying. We were moving to Oregon, and I was scared to death of moving to Oregon because we didn't necessarily have jobs lined up, and I was comfortable in my little space in Los Angeles. So, and I remember I was looking at that video, and I had such a positive energy, and the whole thing was like, yeah, I don't know what's going to happen this year, but I want it to be better than last year was, and I'm going to go into it with the idea that 45 is going to be a better year than 44 was. And by pure coincidence, there were some hard times, especially in the beginning of 45. That's when my uncle was in the hospital. The move was scary and hard. But about 6 months into that year, it was true. I'd gotten a new job. We were at a nice place. My life was better than it had been in a decade. And I don't know. I think part of that was like, if I hadn't embraced that new year going into it, that it's time for there to be changes. I don't know what they're going to look like, but I need to work with it and try and make the most of it. And I'm doing better now. So that's how I'm trying to kind of look at this year. That last year was kind of a bummer. I mean, it was, and we're still in it. We're still it's still kind of a bummer. But I think things are going to get better this year than they were last year. I really believe that. One more week and you can apply to get more emergency benefits. That's right, Justin, man. Just dove in. Life is an adventure. And it was so interesting looking at that video, knowing how I felt on my 45th birthday. How apprehensive I was about how things were going to work out for me in the coming months. Like I was optimistic. I was trying to be optimistic, but it was like a leap of faith. I was really worried things were just not going to work out. Like the trapeze artist letting go of one trapeze bar and soaring through the air for the next one, and nothing's there. That's what I was worried that year was going to be like for me, and it was great. That's a wild thing to believe. It's the first week of 2021, and it's been a lot, and that's my point. It's only the first week, so we have 51 weeks to make up for it, right? That's how I feel, and I think I don't know. There's things aren't gonna be perfect. There's still plenty of issues that we're gonna have to work through, but I am cautiously optimistic. This is feeling more like season 2 of 2020. You just keep on walking. Well, here's the thing, is I think crossing the finish line from 2020 to 2021, we're in the middle of a rough patch. We're in the middle of a very rough patch. I think crossing the finish line from 2021 into 2022 is going to be a lot less rough than what we're going through right now. So that's honestly what I think. Whatever 2021 holds for us, and I don't think it's going to be an easy year for everybody, but I think going at this time next year, I think we're going to be looking back at right now and going, phew, wow, that was wild. And things aren't perfect, but man, things have calmed down. The things that we were worried about are not like nearly the problem that they were a year ago. So, about the taking COVID and flu shots, I honestly don't know. I don't know enough about. I'm not sure how it's all going to play out because it's different. I think it's different than the flu, but I'm not an expert in it. I think the wider issue is we may need to, if it's not something that can be eradicated, then it may always be circulating to some degree, and maybe we will need to do annual COVID shots. We're going to have to... It's one of those things where I don't think anybody knows for sure, honestly. Again, I'm not trying to get political, but I think it's one of those... That's one of those things, how the whole pandemic plays out and the aftermath of vaccine distribution. I think it's a wait and see phase to see how this is all going to play out. I don't think anyone knows for sure. That's how I feel about it. Yeah, magic number change on the calendar. Yeah, it's a way different type of virus. That's why I don't know if it's going to be the same. I just don't know what it looks like if there isn't the total containment that they're hoping to get. Anything that just continues circulating is gonna what's that called? It's gonna mutate. So if it never gets fully contained, then it could get a lot better, but we still may need to be getting booster shots each year, like we do with the flu. Even though the way the flu happens is totally different. The flu, it's like new viruses just emerge consistently every year. It's not like the same flu that you got this year is you're catching a different version of that flu the next year. Although I'm sure it's conceivable that can happen. But I think like flus just keep, you know, circulating, like bouncing into the animal community and back, and I don't know. Yeah, the flu just sort of seems like it's in its own thing. What game are we cranking up? That's a good question. You know what? Oh wait, 2020 made zombie movies seem more realistic. You decided you know nothing about medicine based on the pandemic. Yeah, I have very much like well, let's just see. I don't come into it thinking like, well, I've got, yes, clearly X, Y, and Z. It's like, no, I don't know anymore. There are things that I believe, and I'm not gonna. There are things that I do believe and don't believe, and I'm not gonna talk about them again. But yeah, I think a lot of like how everything is gonna play out, we're just not gonna. No one's really gonna know how things are gonna play out, and until it happens, really. Untitled use game, summoning G-Law's animal spirit. Just gonna listen to the doctors. Oh, okay. Well, Brad, your experience is also a lot different than everyone else in here too, because you were in China when everyone was still considering it the China virus. Like, oh, that's just a terrible thing that's happening in China. I wonder how Brad's doing. Of course, when we were all saying that, it was already here. Just it hadn't shown up on the radar yet. But I imagine experiencing all of this from inside China has been a lot different. And of course, you have access to the internet and see the things you can still see. It's not like you're cut off from the stuff that we know, at least not that I know of. Like, you still get to see a lot of the same media we do and so on with your VPNs. You try to be more positive about the whole situation this year. Last year, the whole thing happened near your birthday and you were devastated. Oh, man. Yeah, Evie, that's hard. That's hard. And yeah, that's been hard for us too. And just that feel like even today I was just thinking how I'm a homebody. So in some ways I'm very well adapted to just be staying home all the time. But the fact that we're not going out and going places and doing things, I mean, that's a lot of how I would get my exercise. It's not like, okay, I'm going to exercise for a half hour now. It would just be like, hey, we're going to go to this place and walk around for an hour. We're going to go to that place, walk around for an hour. We're going to go, even if it was just like, we're going to go to Costco, walk around for an hour. Just, there were enough things happening all the time that removing all of those things, that's one of the reasons why I'm like, I need to really start like New Year's resolutions for reals. Like trying to make a focused effort to exercise and that sort of thing. Because this week when I was feeling tired, I was thinking about, part of it is probably just like, I'm not getting enough activity. It's just like a cabin fever. And I don't feel cabin fever where I'm like, oh, I need to go out. I'm getting crazy in here. I don't feel like that. But I just feel like, wow, we don't really do anything else at all. Barely. I mean, sometimes we weren't camping, but since it's gotten really cold, we were having a lot of fun camping. But now that it's cold, it's a little hard to orchestrate that. A mall walker. No. It was never as bad as Shanghai as it's been in every city. Oh, really? Okay, so see, that's something I didn't know, Brad, because I don't always rely on like what we are hearing or being told that's happening in China, that it's accurate. So, and whether that's distrust of what China puts out or what our own media and government outlets tell us, I never assume that I have an accurate, like, big picture understanding of what's happening over there. And it, like, especially in a situation like that, like with what happened this past year. Yeah, I remember a mall, but I think malls were on their way. Malls were on their way out already, just because of like Amazon. That was one of the things when we got my TV for my birthday. My wife was making a very big stink about wanting to go to a local business. And I was all like, I don't want to go into a store if I don't have to. They got good TVs on Amazon. They got good TVs on Best Buy. We could buy a good TV on Costco.com. We have it, and then we won't have to like take it up the damn stairs when we get home. Someone will deliver it to us. Yeah, I think they're still kind of around, but I think of them as like quaint. I remember malls were so cool. Like in the 90s, in the 80s, 90s when I was growing up and at high school. Go to the mall. Our high school was also like a half a mile away from like the biggest mall in North County, San Diego. So it was kind of like a place to go hang. Although they didn't put up with too many high school students there. You couldn't loiter really. They got wise to that. You went to the mall last week? What? Why was the line for Hot Topic long? What a weird thing to happen right now. To go to the mall and there's a long line of Hot Topic? I was gonna say Hot Pocket. Huh. Yeah, those things in the 80s movies. Exactly. You go to the mall for a Christmas gift, it was horrendous. I'm trying to think the last time... Okay, we were in a mall last year, but it was because there was like a children's play zone, like where you pay... It's like a learning play zone, where it's a little bit like science and a little bit like... Well, it was a really cool little place. And for one of our niece's birthdays, I think she was turning 3, and we took her to the Play Zone, which is a place she'd already known about, was excited to go to. And it was inside a mall. And that mall, actually, there were people in there. It wasn't a dead experience. And then there's, yeah, now I think about it, I've been in a couple malls, and they didn't seem like ghost towns. Somehow in my head, over like the past several years, I just envisioned any of the malls that I used to hang out with just being husks, like empty husks. Like I'd go in there and it'd just be, all the stores would be shut down and there'd just be like some hobos wandering around and maybe like one Cinnabon open or something. Oh, Walmart. No, Walmart is one of the brick and mortar stores that's killed malls. Because really, almost everything you need, you could go to Walmart or Costco or what was that other, Sam's Club, which is Walmart's version of Costco. Those are one-stop shops. Like you go to Super Walmart, you could never go to another store again. It's all in there, and it's good prices. So it's like, I'm not saying it. I know, Evie, you work at a Walmart, right? I'm not putting down Walmart. I'm not like anti-Walmart the way some people are. But I think that's like the store is, it's hard to resist. It's like, because you go in there, you get almost anything you want at a good price. And the store's huge. They have everything. You get your groceries, you get your TVs, you get your video games, your clothes, and everything. You walk in there, whatever it is you need in your house, it's gonna be in Walmart. Convenience killed the cool factor. I don't. That's it. Malls were never for what people needed. Malls were for browsing. Like really, malls were just for like, every store had its different theme, and you look in the windows, and it was, walking to the mall is a little bit like surfing the internet. It's like you just like flipping, you look, and you can see everything. I mean, there's definitely an appeal to malls that will be lost if we don't have them anymore. All those storefronts, and each one's like 20 feet long, and the big windows and displays. You look around, you see everything. And if a store has stuff that looks interesting, you walk in, get a closer look. Yeah, I used to love walking around malls. Of course, there's all the like the people watching, and I don't know if there was like some people used it to, like to pick up, like to hook up or anything. That was never a place that I went to try to hook up with people. But for some people, that probably was that. You know, the mall and like to try to hook up with people. Place to go get lunch, walk around, see. Yeah, the mall was always like just a place. Even if you barely, I think I liked the mall the best when I was younger, or if I didn't have a lot of money. But I had enough money that if I wanted to buy, I could buy one thing for like $20 and not have it be a big deal. And I could spend an hour walking around a mall just being like, just looking, okay. I might not be even buying anything, but I'm looking around knowing I could if I wanted to. And what do they got here? What's that? What's over there? What's that? What are the new books in B. Dalton right now? What came out? Because you couldn't look at anything on the internet, so you had to find out by going to the stores. Oh, sorry, your local mall is dead. Security guard just roaming the halls. Brookstone, that was a good one, Brad. You have to go to Walmart several times a week. You hate it? I kind of like Walmart. I mean, I don't know. I'm not like, I don't have to go all the time, and I'm not amazed by it, but it seems like anytime I see a Walmart, my first thought is like, do I need anything in there? And even if I don't know, I'm like, maybe I should just go in there. Maybe I should just go in there and look around. Maybe I need something. Of course, if you go in there, you're going to find something you need because everything's in there. You're okay with malls dying? Turns out all that junk. Brookstone and Sharp Image was just actually junk. I never really bought stuff in those places, but I liked looking at this stuff. Like Sharper Image, and they always had like weird... Like when I was a kid, I liked toy stores, and those stores seemed a little bit like the adult extension. Like, what kind of weird doohickeys that they can have in there now? You just walk by and see. It's like, oh, it's a vibrating bar stool. It's like, I don't know. It's got a massager built into the ass. It's good. More cashews. I don't have any cashews, Brad. Although, I think where is it? I gotta have some nuts around here somewhere. Yep, I do have. This is a, this is 2.5, almost 3 pounds. 2 pounds, 13 ounces of smoked almonds. It takes a long time to get through this, because I don't eat a whole lot of them, but. I think my wife went to Costco and bought like 4 or 5 bags of those. So, we have a virtually unending supply. I should have gone to Walmart. I could eat 3 pounds of almonds in one stream. I don't even want to know what I'd feel like after eating 3 pounds of almonds. I know there have been a couple times I've gotten carried away. And then afterwards I feel like... It's like, what? Did I just eat tree bark for an hour? What the hell did I put in me? It feels rough all the way down. Too much. I could work through the almonds. Yeah. I might need to refill my water. Remember, don't panic. That's how we got this at Comic-Con, and then I put it on. This was my at-work bottle. And I took this bottle with me to meetings. I took this everywhere that I went when we were still at work. And sometimes it's literally what kept me from going nuts or freaking out. Like, I literally would have days where I'd look at this and go, all right, I'm going to be all right. But if I didn't have this, things may have gone very badly for me. I don't panic bottle. So, what game should I play? That's a good question. We're 40 minutes in. We got plenty of time. Plenty of time to choose a game. Nick, I want to apologize. I didn't see your text until I was getting ready for work this morning. Nick and Beck Snyder were playing Dead by Daylight. And Beck sent me an invitation in Discord asking if I want to play. I didn't see that stuff until I was getting ready for work this morning. Brad, are you totally into watching some Battle Brothers? Well, I try to save Battle Brothers for special occasions because everyone really loved it, but I don't want it to wear out its welcome. Filing workers' comp for his employees. Now, my job doesn't have to do with workers' comp anymore, but it's a big, complicated job, and part of the job is dealing with upset people, and in a very complicated framework of how you're supposed to deal with them. So sometimes it gets a little bit stressful. I've had a few unpleasant days on my job. Most of them are like, yeah, it's all right. Okay, it's good. It's decent. Not bad. I get paid well enough to put up with what I put up with. I can deal with it. Brad, you like it when other people suffer, so Battle Brothers, you just want that to be inflicted? So play Dead by Daylight. Oh, touche. I thought about that, Nick, because you guys sort of tapped into my little Dead by Daylight itch again, which normally only comes around during October. No, yeah, Brad wanted other people to suffer, not him. So, would Super Mega Baseball be the ultimate choice then, Brad? Because you love that. Actually, no, that most people actually kind of like that. It's only a few people don't like it. So, that wouldn't be. Everyone else is other people to me. I was talking with one of my coworkers today. We were chatting in one of our Teams chats, and she mentioned that she's putting her, because she's also licensed in California, like I am. She's putting her law license into inactive state. I don't know if you guys know how it works with law licenses, but you don't just like stop being a lawyer. If you can put your license into an inactive state, and you still have to pay every year to maintain it. But instead of paying $400, you pay $150 or something. But you can't practice law. But if you decide you're going to again, you can instantly reactivate it by just paying that year's dues. So it's sort of like for people that are sort of like me, where like what I'm doing technically doesn't require a license, even though there's attorney is in my title. And in order for me to apply, I was required to have an active license in any state. But I think that might have been just to get the foot in the door, because she's saying she talked to our supervisors, and they're like, yeah, once you're hired and working here, you don't need to maintain your license. You can put it in inactive. So then I was like, why would I do that if I'm gonna have to change my channel name to the gaming inactive lawyer? Truth in advertising, right? I know you love baseball, Brad. It's just Nick suffering is the thing. That's like a very targeted. Well, that's sort of like how Dead by Daylight is, though, isn't it, Nick? Dead by Daylight, they're like the two opposites, where Dead by Daylight is something that Brad hates. But the thing is, I don't think Nick was ever a huge fan of watching Dead by Daylight in a stream, but since I bought it for him, now he enjoys playing it. The gaming paralegal. Well, yeah, it would be an ask. Yeah, Nick, it would be like that, because technically, a lawyer with an inactive license can still call themselves a lawyer, I think. I don't know. I haven't looked into the etiquette of if your license isn't active, if you could still say I'm a lawyer, because technically you can't do any lawyering. So, but right now I've just had my license has been active for the better part of a decade, and I don't really do any lawyering, but it's active. I am indisputably a lawyer. No, Nick, there's nothing crazy about that. That's one of the greatest appeals of Dead by Daylight, is being a killer. That's one of the... I like both sides of Dead by Daylight, but it's a very different game playing as a killer than it is playing as a survivor. Playing as a survivor is a little bit like playing Alien Isolation, where the AI may be great or may be really dumb. Playing the killer is playing the alien. Like, that's what I like about it. There's not a lot of gaming experiences. I mean, there are more and more coming out that are like that have been over the past couple years. So it's not a completely unique experience, but in terms of like, until 3 or 4 years ago, this type of game didn't really exist, and a lot of people haven't even still really played those kinds of games until like now. So that's what I like about it, is it's not like it's not like other games to play that kind of game. And I think that's why when I found Dead by Daylight, which I do like the mechanics, and I like all the different characters and the different killers you can be, there's a lot that I like about it. It's not like other games. It's a different experience. And being a killer, there's no other gaming experience that's really like being a killer. So, and I don't know that there are any other games that do it as well as Dead by Daylight. I know there's a few other games that are like that. Gaming husband of wife of former gaming lawyer. That's getting pretty far removed there, Bentus. That's a really long name too. You still have a law degree, so you can at least still embarrass yourself by calling me a gaming lawyer Esquire. I could say Esquire right now if I want to. There was one guy that when I had my Juris Doctor, that's the license, that's the degree that you get from law school as a Juris Doctor. I had my Juris Doctor, but I had not yet gotten my license. I was in between the period where you get out of law school, you take the bar, you wait for results, then you finalize the application, do the background check. It takes a long time altogether. And this one guy always called me Dr. Ryan. Dr. Ryan. Because my degree is a Juris Doctor. He's like, does that make you a doctor? It's like, I don't think it does. That's like a PhD. So that's a doctorate. I don't know that people who have Juris Doctors refer to themselves as doctor. A doctor lawyer. But it always felt kind of nice at that point where I wasn't officially a lawyer yet, that there was someone that was calling me Dr. Ryan. It's pretty cool. The gaming law clerk, gaming esquire, gaming friend of the court. Hey, Chevy guy, what's up? Gaming law adjacent fellow who proves class action application status. Yeah, hey, Halloween. Yeah, I'd be Dr. Lawyer. Why not? Dr. Lawyer. That's like, but it's kind of cheating because people are always like, oh, I hope my kid grows up to be a doctor or a lawyer. That's like the two professions to get cited a whole bunch. Is like, oh, those are like the two big professional ones that you can become. That's considered like a really important thing to be. But who knew that being a lawyer includes being a doctor, right? 2 for 1. 2 for 1. Dr. Lawyer, MD, Esquire. I'm doing good, Chevy guy. How are you? I'm enjoying, looking forward to how 2021 will improve over the next year. That was the theme of the first half hour of our stream. Forward-looking optimism. My son is a doctor lawyer. Beat that, Karen. Dr. Law Space Firefighter. And, oh yeah, firefighter is a good one. I still remember I don't know how I remember this, but I was probably 3 or 4 years old. And we went, I don't even know what this place was, but it was like a big dinner or something where there was someone up on stage and they were inviting like the kids in the audience to come up. And it wasn't like a kids event, but for some reason, I don't know if it was like a work event for my dad or what. I didn't know. I was not that age and that memory. I have no idea what it was, but it was in a big room. It was a stage, and I just remember seeing like there were a lot of people, and the kids could volunteer. I didn't have to, but kids could volunteer to go up and say what they wanted to be when they grew up. And every kid before me said either a policeman or a fireman. And then I remember being really like anxious in line, thinking, well, which one do I want to be? Do I want to be a policeman or a fireman? And it seemed like, based on what I'd seen so far, those were the choices. Those were the things to be. But I'm like, what else what other options are there? And I didn't really know what else I could be. So I was just like, I think I said fireman. Yeah. That ended up being one. But that was when I was put in a spotlight, literally, to say what I wanted to be. Or maybe I never got up. I maybe never even got up on stage. Maybe they ran out of time before I got up there. But I know that I had decided that I was going to be a fireman. I'm pretty sure I got up there. Or it's all just a dream that I had. I don't know. Maybe it never happened. It's one of those vague memories that are so far into your childhood that maybe it never happened, but it seemed very real. Yeah, MD, PhD, Esquire, the third, Mrs. 2020 was a movie trailer to 2021. It was the prequel. Yeah, they'll be like, how did it all start? Well, now the prequel, 2020. Coming in June. June of summer. July 2020. And hey, Mike, how you doing, man? Bones, get the lawyer. He's a... Damn it, I'm a lawyer, not a doctor. Dr. Lawyer. Lucid dream, who knows? But I do specifically remember all those other kids, and they were either... The two choices that they seemed to come up with were firemen or policemen. I was having a heck of a time deciding. It's a big question of what I want to do with my whole life when I grow up. I was 3.5 years old. It's a lot of pressure for a little kid. Get in front of 100 people in a spotlight. Makes that kind of decision right in front of all those people. Fireman. That's good. Fireman. I liked policemen too, but I think I might have been scared of carrying a gun around. I still remember one time I was probably like 4 or 5 years old. I'm not talking to you, Siri. I was in the car with my mom, and we were driving. I forget where we were on the freeway, and she got pulled over. I don't remember why, but she got pulled over, and a policeman came up, and I was just like, wow, a policeman. And I always saw policemen in the movies. They're like chasing people, shooting people, all this stuff. And there was a policeman just came up to our car and was talking calmly to my mom. And I was just like, wow, a policeman. Look at his badge. He's got a gun. He's got a gun. And my mom, I was quiet. I wasn't saying all this stuff. But in my head, I was all excited. I was a policeman. There's a policeman. And then he left. And my mom was crying. Because I think it's because she got a ticket and she was upset that she'd gotten a ticket, or maybe, I don't know if she was afraid of my dad getting mad. I don't know, but it was an emotional. She was upset and she was crying. It was one of the only times I ever saw her cry. She wasn't a crier, very too much when I was a kid. And I just remember I consoled her, and I said, "Don't worry, Mom. He could have just come up to the car and shot you." And that was my thing, thinking that was a thing that a police would just do. They're like, they like pull you over, they do the lights, they pull you over, and they're just like, they just walk up and go, BAM! You were speeding. They get back into their car and leave. So I was like, this turned out very well for us, Mom. This was he was very polite. Nobody got shot. This was a very positive experience for me. But no, I'm embellishing. But I do specifically recall, and I think I even had the conjugation wrong. The exact words were, "It's okay, Mom. He could have just come up to you and shoot you." Like, he could have just come up and shoot you. So it's like, look, everything's good. Cops do have a lot of influence with the younglings. I had no idea what a cop did or didn't do. I knew they had guns and they chased bad guys and shot them. And I didn't know, as far as I knew, if you broke any law and a cop saw you do it, you might get shot. That's just like, well, you broke the law, people that break the law, they get shot. That's sorry, it's my job, I'm a policeman. You jaywalked, I had to shoot you. That's like, you're not supposed to do that. So now you're gonna get shot. I shouldn't be joking about it, because there's a lot of serious debate and issues about cops. But I do find my 4-year-old perspective of cops somewhat entertaining. And hello, Noah. How you doing? Sorry, I didn't say hi. I saw you come in. I'm doing good. How are you, man? It's my first stream in 2021. I'm optimistic that the rest of the year will be much better. I hope. After a few more speed bumps. Judge Dredd. Good times. So, now I didn't get my water. I showed you my Don't Panic bottle, and then I didn't get my water. So, here's what we're gonna do. Are you looking after your nieces? That sounds nice. I haven't started playing a game yet, but we are almost an hour into stream. So, I'm gonna get my water, then we'll come back and maybe figure out what I'm gonna play. I wasn't feeling gamey today. So, for those of you who are like, God damn, gaming lawyer, what are you gonna play? Are you supposed to play something? I'm here for the games, not to hear you flap your gums for an hour. Hold on, I'll be back. All right. Camera. Hello. Why is my camera now pitch black? Camera. I should be able to switch off for just a second and not have this sort of bullshit happen. There we go. Did you change anything else while I wasn't looking? All right. Sheila After Dark. Welcome, boys and girls, to Sheila After Dark. All right, just kidding. It's January. It's not October anymore. Why is the camera so red and far away from my mouth? I hear it sounds like somebody's itching for a little G-Lock 2.0. Let's see. Untitled Goose Lawyer. Well, let me see. What are my newest games? I didn't buy too many games this season. Actually, now I think about it, I kind of did. Cyberpunk 2077 was in last month. I watched the Queen's Gambit, and then I bought Chess Ultra. What else? Star Wars. I got Star Wars, the Flight Squadron one, because it was super cheap on the Epic Store. I only played a couple missions just to check it out. It seemed cool. Next time I'm in the mood for a Star Wars flight sim. And there is Untitled Goose Game, which technically I beat. It's one of the rare occasions where I actually beat a game on stream. But granted, it only had a total of 4 hours of game time. Jantoba. I bought Hades, which Nick, is that what I got you for Christmas? Hades I've been eyeing for a while because everyone says it's super unique and interesting, or just very well done. So I bought it. It's on sale. It's fun. I played a little bit. All right. You'd like to watch that? Okay, well, in the Untitled Goose Game, there are a lot of hidden objectives that apparently they don't automatically present themselves to you unless you stumble across them. And when you finish the main game, after the credits roll, they start you at the beginning and they fill your to-do list with all the hidden objectives that you may have missed. So the game is over. I beat the game. I finished the ending. But there's just a bunch of random stuff that I could go back and just do. But it wouldn't be like building up towards anything. The regular objectives were hard enough. Yeah, no, I thought I could play Hades a little bit. I could see you liking Hades because I get kind of a, well, it's obviously Binding of Isaac is a lot different. It feels a lot more Zelda, like Zelda Dungeon. But I feel like the same kind of vibe, where in terms of like just the roguelike running around and shooting stuff, and it's very well polished and very well done. It's got a lot of character and charm. All right, well, it has been an hour, Evie. Good night. Thank you for being here. Happy 2021. We made it. Fancy Bastion. I liked Bastion too when that came out. Bastion was cool in its different ways. I really liked the narrator in Bastion. Like as you were doing it, it'd be like, well, he just went along his way, and it's pretty cool. Speaking of me doing voices, I also played the first weekend following New Year's. I did play Dungeons and Dragons, and that was fun. It was a very role-playing centric gaming session, so that was my campaign that I started a few months ago started off very RP heavy, role-playing. It was all about characters and story. But then for about 3 whole sessions, which took about 2 months, we were just in this one not very big dungeon at all. But yeah, Nick, I feel like we're really stretching out Princes of the Apocalypse. Yeah, they passed Lance Rock. They're just about to enter the Tomb of the Moving Stones. And they know that it's called the Tomb of the Moving Stones because when I shared the map on Fantasy Grounds, I didn't click the thing to make it not identified, so it tells them the map is called Tomb of the Moving Stones. Yeah, I played Homeworld when it was first new, Noah. And I'm trying to remember, I can't remember whether I bought the remastered edition or not. It was one of those games that I really liked, but then I felt like I got the difficulty ramped up, and back when it was new, I would get 2 or 3 missions, or get a few missions in, and then I'd get very overwhelmed, and I sort of stopped playing. But yeah, but most of what's happening in my D&D campaign is just sort of story. Because the module I'm in, or the adventure that I'm using is, it's sort of like a sandbox where there's a town and there's sort of a sequence of different leveled areas, and there's something big and sinister happening up in the hills in this region. But they give you this whole big region, and there's sort of like a town that you can make home base, and they detail all the characters in this town, like the local blacksmith and the innkeeper and the butchers and all this other stuff. It's got some charm, like the local constable and the law enforcement. They're the butchers. There's like literally, they run the butcher shop. They're not like violent type. But they run the butcher shop, and it's just like, so anytime you have a problem, you want to go talk to the local law. You go to the butcher shop, and they're usually hauling like some cow together. They're like pulling a cow to a table to be slaughtered, and they're all in their aprons and all like messed up. And you walk up, and they're turning around like, just give us a second to put down this dead cow. I'll talk to you in a second. It's just fun running these characters, and there's lots of. And so I'm making them a lot of different characters. They have personalities, and I set up with there to be some conflicts. Just coming into town, like the backstory. What? Why'd you kill the constable? Now the thing is they've been irritated with the constable because they're trying to look into like this sort of weird spiritual, there's supposedly this big supernatural threat opposing the area. And whenever they ask the constable's always like, I don't care much for rumors about ghosts and goblins and things like that, and like unnatural fogs covering the land. How am I supposed to hunt down a fog? Where do I go to hunt down a fog? He's like, but I did hear about some bandits. And then my group's just like, bandits? Who gives a crap about bandits? We don't want to look for bandits. So, and then when they do get a lead about something, and they're like, yeah, we hear there's like some sort of a haunting or a necromancer or something out at this cave that you should be aware of. And he's like, look, I can't be bothered about some stories about skeletons in like 10 miles from a town that have nothing to do with what's happening in town. If you guys want to, so all they have done for the last 3 months is grumble. They don't like this guy. Oh. Wait a minute. Oh, so the believers had him off. Not that your characters offed him. When you said you killed him, I thought you meant like you somehow had it arranged so that the characters would need to confront him and have a showdown with him. Yeah, I actually, in the last session, when there's the sinkhole opens up in the middle of town, and that's what sort of moves the story forward. Like, it opens up a cavern network where things are happening down there. And the local secret cult that secretly kind of runs the town, or they're prominent people that sort of run the town, and they're known as like the elders of the town, but they're all members of the secret cult. And they don't want anyone to find out what's happening down underneath the town. It's that most of the town has no idea there's anything underneath there, because they think there's just like the thing they worship down there, and they don't want anyone to find out about it. And now the sinkhole happened, and they're trying to keep anyone from going down in the hole to investigate. And 2 of them own quarries, so they're like, we have people that can deal with cave-ins. We know people They know how to stabilize earth and stone. Don't they try to have like this rational explanation, but when they're panicking, they're like, no one must interfere with the delvers of the deep. And like the group's like, what are they talking about? They're hiding something. Okay, the Blackbird did it on behalf. Yeah, because well, they all opened up. One of the first things they did in town, there's that on the quarry on the north side of town. They're hooded figures watching. Like certain nights, like the quarries have to work into the night, which they do because they get back orders. And the workers are getting spooked because they keep seeing, like, just on the edge of the light and the trees at the edge of the quarry, they're seeing these robed figures watching them. And it's freaking them out. Some of them are thinking about quitting. And it turns out that's part of, like, the elemental cult that are trying to edge their way into town. And they want to get jobs at the quarry because the quarry has like a secret entrance to the cult tunnels in it, and so they're trying to scare off the workers. And one of the first things, hearing the rumors about like these hooded figures, the group immediately, the first night they got into town, they're like, well, let's go hide out near the quarry and see if we can find these hooded guys. And they caught one of them and basically tortured him until and he kept the cover that we're just drifters looking for work. And we were told that if some of these people quit, we can get jobs. So, but they were using like their sense motive skills and stuff, and they knew he was hiding something, but he wouldn't say what. They knew that there was something more he wasn't talking about. So they immediately know something's going on. But then it's all like, then they followed him down, and he's staying at a boarding house, and they went in there and then tried to confront him again, and like, the old lady that runs the boarding house is like, what the F are you doing in my boarding house harassing my tenants? Who the hell are you? Get the hell out of here. So they get in a fight with her, and then she's gonna go to the constable to complain in the morning, but by morning, this dude that they found, he's mysteriously missing. So she reports their behavior to the constable. Constable, next time they're passing by, is like, hey, folks, I need to have a word with you about an incident that happened last night at the boarding house. So there's all these things that are happening. They're not part of, like, oh, this is the encounters that are in this adventure book that need to happen. There's just all the things that they're doing, and the way the situations are unfolding are causing all these collisions, these role-playing collisions between themselves and the other people in town. And it's turned out to be, so far it's been a lot of fun, and it's been pretty interesting. Your party rescued the kids that fell in and then left the sinkhole. Okay, my group was very much like one of the elders. They were so pissed at him that they almost threw him into the hole. Like they actually started to grab him, and he's like shrieking like, "What are you doing? Unhand me!" Blah blah blah. And I basically said, everyone stops what they're doing and they look at like what you're doing to the elder. And then our group, the guy was just sort of like, I just thought he should help the children. That he should want to help the children. And everyone's like, that was a little rough there. But their whole thing was basically like, the elder's like, don't go in there. Don't go down there. And my guys are like, nah, we're going down there. It's like, oh, I saw a tunnel and like I saw a door down there. And the constable's there and the elders are yelling and one elder just tells the constable, we want you to set men around here. But the elders are not like formally in charge, and the constable is not. Everything's very informal, but the people just have like roles that they've fallen into in this community. So the constable is basically like, now this is a sinkhole that opened up in the middle of the street, and I think as much trouble as these people have been for some people here, I think they're here to help. And if they want to go down and see what's happening in that hole down there, I'm not going to stop them. And so the believers are already like basically screaming for blood. But I've essentially got it set up so what they find in there is going to be extremely incriminating against the believers. So provided they get in there and they survive and they're able to get the constable to look at it and it gets out to the town what they found, I don't think there's going to be a problem with the believers Yeah, I don't know. It's still in the how it's going to play out. We're going to have to see. They say, leave it alone. The party's like, okay, nope. That was not how my party was at all. But my party was already suspicious of the quarry owners. Because the whole story that I made up that's not part of it is they've been hired by a dwarven enterprise. And it's a long story, but it's like they have a druid in the group. It's a young girl. She's feral. And this dwarven entrepreneur met her and sort of took a liking to her over the years and took her under his wing. And she's been having these nightmares that I'm tying into what's happening in this region, the supernatural stuff that's happening in this region. And so he was like, well, we've been wanting to set up, there's an old quarry up in the hill that my cousin used to work up in the mountains, and it got abandoned because humanoids ran off the operation. But he swore that if we mined that quarry, that there were some amazing minerals to be, he believes it would be a very fertile mining ground that no one has tapped into yet. So we've been meaning to go there for years, and now that I know my friend here is having these nightmares about this region, we want to support her. And so the group sort of gets put together to help investigate what's causing these dreams, because she's known to have these dreams, and the dreams mean something. And so when they get into town, it's basically like they're here to represent Rockseeker Enterprises, and here you need to give letters of introduction to these 5 people to make our intentions known that we're going into the hills. We're going to investigate this old mine or this old quarry. We're assuring non-competes to the other quarry members. We're not going to be going for stone. We're not going to be competing with your stone trade. We're doing something completely different. And both of the quarry owners, when they saw the letters, the group was able to detect that there was something that alarmed them or disturbed them, but they wouldn't say what it was. But it's like, well, maybe they're worried about the competition or whatever it is. So I'm not going to say what it is that was worrying them, because there's an off chance at least one of my friends sometimes watch these streams. So I'm trying to regulate everything they say with the idea that they may see this and I might spoil something if I talk in too much detail about like what's behind the curtain of what I've got planned. But yeah, there's all these seeds that I planted where they just know something screwy is going on, and they know there's something screwy going on with the elders. And then once this thing opened up and they're shouting like outsiders should not be allowed, and, they become aware that like, okay, there's some weird local beliefs here, like superstitions or something. Oh no! Nick's a troll. You need fire or acid or he'll get up again. Okay, so back to games. Remember video games. So the other game that I've been playing recently is Creeper World 3. Have you guys ever heard of Creeper World? You don't know why Princess of the Apocalypse isn't more well loved? I'm having a lot of fun with it, but I will admit it's been a lot of work. They give you a lot to work with, but the kind of fun that we're having was reliant on my group engaging with the town, me presenting them characters and little seeds of intrigue here and there, and them engaging with those characters in a way that creates their own story. And that's what the best part is I didn't know like what's happening. Now I didn't necessarily, some of it I kind of planted seeds for, and some of it is just purely based on what's happening to them. Like one thing I had happen is I had someone mysteriously following them, because I had them start at Waterdeep, and actually journey to the starting town in this. And when if you go by the book, the module starts where like you are in the town of Red Larch, and there's an inn and a blacksmith and a tavern and whatever. And this is like, I started with their backstories that went back sometimes years, and started them in Waterdeep, where they first all met up for the first time. When this guy, all the hook was, how did they meet this dwarven entrepreneur? Because he was the glue that was going to tie them forward, and one of them had the key that was drawing them to this area to investigate this problem. Tell us more about the game. Yeah, no, I'm having so much fun running this game. And it really kind of almost got touching, because this dwarf is an old, like, he's a well-liked person, he's a shrewd businessman, but he's also a very, like, he cares about people, and he's a good judge of character. And that's the thing that I kept telling them, is like, whatever it is that your character is, whether he's a rogue or a paladin or a sketchy or true-hearted or whatever, this guy is going to see something good in you. He's going to see something valuable in you. And so we need to think about how you're going to be, like, you need to start the adventure where you trust him and he trusts you. So whatever your backstory is, I want it to lead somehow for you to be able to tie in to have met this person, to be convened at this certain place, to take a job from him. Because the idea is he meets you and he trusts you over something, and he knows that he needs to send people to help this girl. And the other people's backstories paid into it. So they had this thing where they were from Alm, which is far to the south, and they needed to flee. They were on the run from the law, a couple of them, for various reasons. And they get on this ship that's basically desperate for crew because things have happened, and so they advertise, we'll take anybody. It's a one-way trip, but anyone who wants on, you don't need experience, we're not gonna ask any questions. We just take anyone, and we need to leave tomorrow morning. And when my guys found out about it, they went, and I had this whole thing play out on this boat where the captain was given something as they were leaving dock. It was like this little box, and he guards it very closely, and he never puts it away someplace. And so all these sort of unsavory characters have been recruited, my people are overhearing them, like, plotting, like, how can we find out what's in that box? We can't kill the captain because we're on this ship. And so we're gonna have, like, maybe after, so they finally decide afterwards, after we dock, we're gonna find out who he gives it to and see if we can attack them. But the captain's acting like it's a super important thing, that he won't he will not leave it away from his person. So they get to town, and it turns out that it's this dwarven entrepreneur who's at the docks ready to take this thing. And he's this sort of like happy-go-lucky, well, sort of, but he's just like, he just sort of takes it, and he's walking through the wharf district. Was a little rough, and these three guys are going to ambush him. And then the two people from my group who were part of that, was all their backstory. That's how they met him. They stopped him from getting mugged, and while this guy had this thing, and this guy was on his way to meet up with the druid and his other cousin, and they were escorting her. But the thing that they got actually was, it was a scroll, and he read it, and he wouldn't say, they have no idea what it is. He wouldn't tell them, but he just said, this changes everything. We can't continue on this journey, and we need these new people that we met to escort you the rest of the way. The rock seekers, the dwarves, we have to go back. We have to go back home. There are some things we need to take care of. We can't say what it is. But the whole idea is, this druid, she's young. She's basically feral. She was in the wilderness. She doesn't know how to work with society. She's very mistrusting of people. So the fact that she trusted him, and his whole thing of doing this enterprise was because he knew that she wouldn't be able to just go to a town and ask for clues. They knew that she couldn't integrate in society that way, at least not immediately, that she wouldn't be able to do it. So the whole reason they were going to do that was to support her. And here something comes up, they realize, we're the only people in the civilized world this girl trusts, and we have to go. We can't be with them. So there's this like emotional scene where they're telling her, and this is where the actual role-playing starts, and they're telling her, you believe me, we would continue all the way to where you need to go if we could. And they already had their other cousin who was supposed to meet them in town that was off on other business, and they're like, yeah, when Goodwin gets, and this ain't Goodwin after one of my dwarves, World of Warcraft. These are all NPCs, the dwarven guys. And they're like, just go to the town. Goodwin's still gonna be going there. He's the prospector. He's the guy that knows about all the mining stuff anyway. So he's really the person that's gonna make this happen. I'm just the business mind behind it. So I need to take care of this thing. I will try to join you later, but I don't know when or even if we'll be able to, depending on how this thing we need to deal with pans out. And hey, Joss, it is the Lawyer Talks Live. Yeah, so the quarry guy is an NPC. He's got it's. I don't know if you ever played, the introductory module for 5th edition. I can't remember what it's called now, but it's like a levels 1 through 5 adventure, and he is in that module as the Hook. And I used him in the same way. As like everyone's supposed to say how they met this person, and then he hires you to escort some goods to this town, and then things. Mines of Foundelver, yeah, it's Gundren Rockseeker. That whole module, that whole adventure is about the Rockseekers having this great discovery that they've got to check out near the town of Phandelver, which is the secret of the mines of Phandelver. And in fact, the way that I have it planned, the way that I got it set up is the thing that they brought from down south to him that was the precious thing that was on the ship that he got, that he said changed everything and he had to go back up to Neverwinter. That was what's instigating the mines of Phandelver. That was the news that we're like, we need to drop everything and do this thing now. We have to prioritize this. This is like this could be an emergency. So I'm actually tying those in together because we might play Mines of Phandelver with some of these people in another group at some point. And I'm like, that's going to be kind of cool when they realize the stuff that set up the campaign that we've been doing for Princes of the Apocalypse is tied directly into what's launching the campaign for Mines of Phandelver as well. And anyone that's played both of them is going to see the crossover. Yeah, well, Prince of the Apocalypse, you said, assumes it's going to be coming off the heels of Mines of Phandelver. You can do that. It also has the ability to start. I mean, the real Prince of the Apocalypse starts at 3rd level, the main storyline. But if you want to start at 1st level, there are a few things that tie into it. And I found, well, also too, when I talked to my group, when they first, like these guys, I didn't think they were going to want to play D&D. I was going to do Mines of Phandelver with my wife and maybe a few other people. And when we started doing Zoom meetings with this group, and I mentioned that I bought all this D&D stuff to play online game, like run games online, they got all jazzed. And their favorite module that we played in high school was the Temple of Elemental Evil. It's the one they always talked about. This is like back in 1988, 89. It's the one they always talked about as like, oh, that was like the big, awesome, wicked, like terrible, big bad place that we cut our teeth in our first big D&D adventure, Temple of Elemental Evil. And the Prince of the Apocalypse is a modern 5th edition reboot of Temple of Elemental Evil. And when they found out that there was a reboot of Temple of Elemental Evil, they were just like, that's what we all want to play, and we want to play that. So I was like, okay, that's what we'll do. You've missed D&D talk. You've been lacking it for most of the past 9 months. I'm talking about Mines of Phandelver, and there's a possibility that I've been trying to get out. Originally, we were going to play with just one of our high school friends and his wife, and me and my wife, and maybe bring an extra person in, or just have a 4th, like an NPC that they control. And that was the plan. That's what D&D, that's what we were going to do. And it wasn't until we Zoomed and the rest of the high school group that I played with were all gung-ho to go. But ever since then, I've still been trying to tell my one friend, who is in this group, but originally was going to be in the group playing with my wife, like, hey, I still want to play want to play run a campaign that my wife is in, because she's still waiting to play. She's never played really Dungeons and Dragons at all, and she wants to. She's kind of excited to try it and play with you guys. But I have a feeling they're burnt out. Like they play a game with another group, and they play with us, and they play tabletop games with people locally. So I feel like I'm getting the impression after trying for several months to see like, hey, we could play the game with my wife. She really wants to play D&D. And they're like, yeah. But then it's like, and I'm like, okay, well, you guys need to like make your characters and then whatever. And then like, that's nothing. So it's like, all right, maybe that's not going to happen. So what I'm trying to say, Nick, is there's a possibility that I may be forming a group for my wife to play in that will not include them. I just know she kind of had her heart set on playing with them, because there are good friends from San Diego that we miss and we don't get to play with anymore. So we haven't abandoned that idea yet, but it just seems like all the times that I've tried to get it going, it's just sort of been like, oh yeah, and then they don't do anything. Did they have a 4th edition one too? Was it still called Temple of Elemental Evil? And how you doing, Joss? How's life treating you? Did you get your second shot yet? I can't remember. I know that was a big news for me, knowing that you're on the front lines and that I know you got your first one. I think about you all the time, Joss, when all this stuff comes up about everything that's happening. It's like, oh shit, how is this impacting Joss? Wonder how Joss is holding up. So, yeah, well, I still got 10 people. I did have 14. The viewers are going like this, me talking about Dungeons and Dragons. I had the Temple of Elemental PC game too, Brad. There was a massive community patch that did a lot to improve that game and fix the rough stuff. But it is a huge turn-based dungeon crawler, and it's very hard. Like, I tried playing it again a few years ago after I knew that they fixed it, so I got all patched up with I think it's called the Circle of 8 mod. And I did get kind of into it, because it's a very faithful representation of 3rd edition Dungeons and Dragons. But extremely, hard, exactly. Like, combat, what would feel like it should be basic combats, just wipe. You make one mistake, wipe. You're a little bit unlucky, you wipe, start over. And then it's like, do I need to get higher level somehow before I come here? It's like, no, there's really nowhere else to go but here. But that Temple of Elemental Evil, that came out in like 2008 or whatever, 2006, 7, 8, I don't know. That Eye of the Beholder PC game, that was like in the 80s, wasn't it? I had, trying to remember the ones that I had. I had 2 of those old, I can't ever remember the name of the company that made them. I want to say TMI, but it's not TMI. But it was some like 3 letters, and they did a series of, in the 80s, sort of very faithful Dungeons and Dragons representations. And the second one was Curse of the Azure Bonds. And I'm trying to remember what the first one was that I played. But anyway, I got really into that for a little while, because it really felt like Dungeons and Dragons. Like, moving and it was based on, I think, 2nd edition. I'm pretty sure it might have been based on original Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. I don't remember if it was Advanced or 2nd edition. Might have been Advanced. Anyways, you know the ones I'm talking about? I think Eye of the Beholder might have been part of that generation of Dungeons and Dragons video games. I never played Icewind Dale because it was pitched as basically entirely a dungeon crawl, and I wasn't sure that appealed to me. And that's one of the things about Temple of Elemental Evil, that when you get to a certain point and you know it's just going to be a massive dungeon, like from now on. Now, granted, last time I played, I got further than I've ever gotten before, and I was discovering there are actually stories, sort of well-crafted stories and events happening inside the dungeon. Which I thought it was just literally going to be a massive labyrinth of super hard fights and nothing else. So I was pleased to see that there was actually some storytelling happening in the dungeon. Eye of the Beholder was April 1990. Okay. Let me see. Now I want to look up Azure Bonds. Yeah, this stream is totally off the rails in terms of me playing a game. Could still happen. SSI, yes. Curse of the Azure Bonds was 1989. Pool of Radiance was the first one. Okay, that's the one that I played. And I might have played Pool of Radiance. That was the original one that I remember. And you could port your characters from Pool of Radiance to Curse of the Azure Bonds. It won the Origins Award for Best Fantasy or Science Fiction Computer Game of 1988. I don't know who awarded them that, but someone did. Let me see if they... It was based on the original Advanced Dungeons & Dragons rule set. I'm trying to remember where Eye of the Beholder fit into this, if it was sequels and related works. Okay, there's The Secret of the Silver Blades. Curse of the Azure Bonds, 1989. Secret of the Silver Blades, 1990. And Pools of Darkness in 1991. Oh, maybe Eye of the Beholder was not part of that sequence. Anyways. Yeah, I'm just looking at the Wikipedia article right now. Anyway, I don't need to look at all that, but I think Eye of the Beholder was like a separate series. Oh, and you had to play the first one to make sure you're geared up enough to be successful in the second one? But you know what? Speaking of Icewind Dale, I loved Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. I never finished them. Never have. And they've done the redone versions, which have added a lot of stuff, and I tried getting into that a few years ago, and I think I probably got about 15 hours in, and then I was just like, just too big. But I feel ashamed to admit it, because I will say the Baldur's Gate games are some of the best role-playing games ever made, but I never had the stamina to get all the way through one of them. He uses death and disintegration IRAs and immediately kill 2 of your PCs. I remember running into beholders in Baldur's Gate 2, which might have been when I got pretty far into it. You end up in the Underdark, and I remember some of the things I was fighting down there. Every battle that I ended up fighting was so hard that I think I just sort of burned out. Every battle can't be just a struggle for me, and eventually if it's just over and over and over and over, I just can't do it. I think I got a lot further into Baldur's Gate 2 than I got into Baldur's Gate 1. Although from the experience that I had from the remake, I only did the first one, and there was really notably a lot of extra stuff going on where I thought this could be worth really diving into, because there's more characters and stories and things happening that I know weren't in the original game. So yeah, there's some part of me keeps saying I should go back and finish those, but every time I launch it, I'm like, I don't know, do I really want to? So it just seems like it's such a daunting thing. They're such big games. So, all right. So yeah, the other game that I was playing this week, before I think it was Alalee gently pushed me back towards talking about Dungeons & Dragons again. Well, Nick too, but Nick's always up for a good D&D talk, and I can still talk more about it. But The other game I was bringing up that I've been playing is Creeper World 3. You guys heard of that? The Creeper World series. There's Creeper World 4 just came out on Steam. It's one of these kind of obscure games that a lot of people have never heard of before. It's like a little strategy, fun, like strategy RTS type game. And the original one came out like 2003 or something, and I remember it was cheap, and I got it. I remember kind of having fun with it, and then over the past couple years, every few years they'd release another one. It was basically the same game with more mechanics, and everyone always said they were great. And the fourth one just came out. Damn it! Sorry, I'm all. Ugh. But and it's the first one that's in 3D, because the whole thing about this is you're fighting this like space goo. It's this weird sort of thick fluid that destroys everything that it touches, and so you'll start out off on a map with like a base like that you drop from orbit, and you start sending out, like, establishing a network of in fact, you know, I'll just show you as I'm talking about it easier. And it's like it's a pretty lightweight game.
45 seconds of gameplay.
And they've got a ton of sort of it's story related. It's got sort of a story going on, but also, is this gonna show up? There we go. So in the main game, I think I'm just about to start this world. I might have started it. And each system has got a number of planets, and some of them have shields. There's a little story, but the basic game sequence. See how I can play a more generic. All right. All right. So they have like a ton, like this is not a story. There's a whole ton of other galaxies that are just almost like challenge galaxies, which is tons and tons of planets to just do. So it's an RTS, and the whole idea is these little blue things will slowly pump out this goo. And you see everything's topographical. There's this thing down here that shows you the level of like the land. So this is low, higher, higher. You see the little things raising up on that meter all the way up to here. And as the goo starts going over this stuff, a goo layer appears. And the goo can get layer upon layer upon layer as it accumulates, and it will slowly like a slow moving tidal wave will start moving across the land. It's the creeper. Well, you can't see it because it's paused yet. So the idea is there's these various objectives and things you need to get, and you need to figure out what's the best way to get there. So the first thing I need to do is find a place to put down. And they keep introducing more mechanics. The main thing is these goo things, and then these different resources you need to collect onto your network. Oh wait, I should turn. Not that the music is riveting, but I had the music turned all the way off. But there's some groovy synth music to deal with. I basically turned the music off because I was watching a lot of YouTube videos while I was playing this, and it got to where the music was distracting from the YouTube videos. So let me know if the music is too loud too, because the music gets kind of loud. But I'll unpause it for a second. You can see. See, I just unpaused it for a second, and the goo started spreading out from these things. And this, like, web stuff is something that conducts the goo in a different way. So the goo will saturate this and then slowly start oozing off of that as well. So it's a conduit for goo. Okay, the music is loud. Okay. Yeah, I keep having to turn the music. Like, the music is, by default, way too noisy. But I do like it. I just don't... Depending on what I'm doing, it's a nice game to have on while you're watching other stuff. And if that stuff has music in it, it's like, this becomes kind of a mess. So, let's see. Where's a good place? I could put... This is sort of the high... Well, this is... Hold on a minute. This is pretty high, but the land around it is low. So if I start building here, and the goo gets up there, there's a chance that I'll get cut off, and I have a little more to work with up here. So that could be a good place. Starting anywhere up here is not going to be a good idea, because all this goo is up here. So I would think this could be an option, but I think strategically I need to do this. And so a lot of it is about energy management. So you have these little things where you do your network, and these also collect, like, I think solar energy. So let me see. And they each have a radius of how much area they collect the energy for. So if you put them all right next to each other, it won't be very efficient. You want to kind of space them out so that they get maximum coverage. One over here. And let's see, is there anything I want to rush for? I'm right next to this. This is like a mining resource. And I think I just want to spread a bunch of these out over here. And you can see it's all those lines between them. That's what I keep meaning by network. You set up these network. If goo touches any of these, it'll disappear and it'll screw up your network. But anything you get, like there's this mining stuff over here, it's like, okay, well, if I have this out here, that's probably close enough that I could build a mine there, and it would pump that resource back to my main base, where I could then redistribute it to turrets and certain things that would use those ores. So let's see. We'll let this run a little bit, because you also, when you're starting off, there's this little thing up here saying how much energy you have coming in and how much you're using. And it's very easy to get overwhelmed when you're first building. So there's just that. Slowly these things are coming out. That finishes up, so now that's generating a little bit of energy. That's generating a little bit. Meanwhile, you see the goo. I'm going to pause this. You can see the goo here in the center. There's this thing down here saying there's, like, right here, for example, there's 3 levels of land. But over here, there's 1 level of land, but there's 7 more levels of goo. So there's basically, this is like a mountain of goo that's just starting to spread out now. And it's happening every place where they have one of these things. So the idea is to have enough resources flowing in. In fact, I'm going to plot a mine down here. Brad, don't cheer for the goo. Uh-oh. The goo's already making its way out of its little pit over there. Alright, I think we're gonna... There's weapons. We can put a... oh, another ore mine here. Alright, that'll be connected to the network. And when you start spreading out like this, there are also these little guys called relays. So the relays don't generate power, but they have longer reach, and the stuff that moves across them moves very quickly. So it's a good idea to, like, start building these. And so now you can see these, they're getting built. And the stuff that's moving across, these relays are being built, is moving a lot more quickly. But looks like I already need to start thinking about... There's special turrets called sprayers, and they spray goo. They spray this, your version of, like, good goo that slows down the bad goo. So I'm going to plop that down here. Let's see, where's... Yeah, this is sort of a good... It's a good spot. And I might throw down a cannon or two. You're gaga for goo goo. Well, everybody's going for the goo. Come on, sprayer, finish. Finish, you daffy son of a bitch. The goo touches it. All right, here comes the ammo. All right. And let's get some turrets helping here too. All right. So I think now that I got that going, I'm gonna throw down a bunch more collectors to just try to maximize my power. These are cheap to build. You could build power generators, reactors, but they're expensive to build. So as long as you've got land or area that's not generating power yet, it could be a good idea to just start throwing down a bunch of these things until you've got good coverage. And the goo is... And so that's basically the game. It's just a matter of building weapons, and then there's different weapons. So let me see. I think I want to... Let's do this. Get some relays. Relay is up here, so we can get we're gonna get some cannons up here. And I think our first objective is we're going to try and encroach this area and take out this generator. Let's get a relay out here. This is going to start, as a mortar, it's going to start lobbing like big bombs. The goo weatherman's having a bad day. Alright, now I think it's time to let's throw one more cannon just to keep the creep. Yeah, I think at this point it's just gonna be, we're gonna sort of have to just draw our line. And in fact, all right, ammo starting to flow into those guys up there. Maybe I can establish just a like a little perimeter on the edges here. Although this may not, I have a feeling this turret's not going to survive long enough to be built, because it's getting creeped on pretty good. So, but it's kind of it's a game that's kind of... Oh, yep, that's not happening. This one might be able to hang in there. Okay, let's draw our line in the sand here. Alright, so I think we've established our perimeter. Now, if you just rest too much, this the goo waves will get higher and higher until these things can no longer fight them back. So you can't rest on your laurels. One cool thing though is you can move the stuff. So like when it's built, I can move that forward a little bit when it's time. So everything you place, I'll be able to keep using these. So you don't have to keep like, oh, well, this was the old line of defense. Now I got to build a whole new one here. You just kind of keep pushing them forward. Yeah, you don't want to rest on your goo laurels. Definitely not. So let's see. Let's fill in our territory with collectors so we can maximize our energy. There's a bit of overlap happening, but that's okay. They're cheap enough that, you know, I want to maximize, but I also don't want to. I want to make sure that I'm exploiting all the, or at least most of the land. All right, so now you can see I'm using, I have no energy surplus, so I'm using just about as much as I'm generating. So I probably will need, let me see what I've got here. There's a thing you can, if these little colorful ones here, that's a special resource that you can build a forge and it'll start giving you bonuses like better energy efficiency, more goo efficiency, bigger storage. It'll make all the little bits move faster across the lines. But I can't start collecting those until I've got this. So let me see what else. I probably, if I need more energy, I'm going to have to start slowly building some reactors. So I'll put those back here. You have to be conservative because they can take quite a bit of energy. But it seems like we've established a pretty reasonably good perimeter. Let's get all those holes there. Hey, you're very goo inefficient. So yeah, I actually put Creeper World 4 on my wish list because people who've enjoyed the series in the past said it's really good. It's a game that's made a very good transition to 3D, but it's basically this, but in a 3D field. And the reason that this game is good for that is because this whole thing is about all the various levels of goo, which are pretty well, they have it pretty well represented here. So you use just a little bit of imagination as well as looking at this meter down here, and you can get an idea of the creeper creeping in. Let's see, I could do with more I could use with a little more of this. Here, we're gonna have to kind of make our push. All right, we got a couple. Let's grab a couple more reactors. And in reactors, you can just stack up on each other. They don't rely on gathering environmental energy. So you could just pile them on top of each other. It's just that they're expensive to build. And each one of them doesn't generate a ton of energy. So it's better to spread these out as much as you can first. All right, now that's building. So now that that's throwing some coverage there, I'm gonna start moving stuff up. Oh, we're doing pretty good. My energy surplus is starting to build a little bit. So another thing that you can build is you can have air units. You have ones that just shoot goo to destroy goo, and then you actually have bombers that use the blue resource that you're mining Right now, by building the second one of these, I do not have a surplus anymore. Let's get another relay out here. Let's see, we can move. That's not. Oh yeah, we can move this forward a little bit. I think this area is now my stuff. Let's get another relay out here. I think I might need to add another cannon into the equation as well. All right, I probably still always be building a little bit of a reactor. If I can get my network connected to this, I'll build the forge, and it'll slowly start building up the improvements. Ooh, this is getting a little bit tight over here. All right, these are still building up their ammo, but once these are going, I can have them start bombing the goo area. I don't know exactly how I always find all these games, but when I saw Creeper World 4 come out, I was like, I remember Creeper World. That game was fun. I played the original Creeper World. It's just this little... And this is basically plays almost like the original one from like 2003 or 2004. This came out in like 2016. It's not an old game, but it's just a continuation of the same formula. It's just got a lot more mechanics. All the different weapons and all the different like creative things you start encountering, they add a ton. So you're always being challenged with new things to deal with. I could probably use another mortar as well. It's got a little help with that. All right, these guys look ready to go. I'm just going to send all of them to just start wailing on... Actually... yeah, right around here. So now these guys are going to be just shooting goo. And they'll keep floating around doing that till they're out of ammo, then they'll have to land and get more. So these just plain destroy the goo that they hit a little bit at a time. And the other type you can build will drop this good goo that you can make, the anti-goo liquid. So you can see this is starting to thin out a little bit. This might take a little damage. Once they're built, they can take a little bit of damage, but not very much. Let's get that connected to the network. And also, they all have their little red line on them, which means if you drop them someplace where they're not connected to your network, they're going to have a little bit of ammo. But when they run out, that's it. So you always want to make sure, like sometimes you can drop these down to get a foothold before you have like a relay node, but you want to make sure to get them hooked up pretty quickly. Let's see, let's move this up. Move this up. Alright, I think we're close enough that I can get a relay in. Nah, hold on, we'll wait. Let's see everything. Okay, things are getting a little bit hairy up here. Okay, this is a higher level. But yeah, this is getting a little, And energy management's getting a little sketchy too. Plop a couple more of these down. Yeah, are you enjoying listening to this commentary? This is one of those games where I'm like, I have no idea if anyone would like watching me play this or talk about this. But this is the weird, unique game that I've been playing all week. Basically since my last stream. This is the main game that I've been playing. And I've put like 28 hours into it over the past week. So, yeah. Oh, this guy's not connected to the network anymore. Okay, that's an issue. So that thing stopped getting his little good goo ammo. Now that... Hopefully he's not getting hit. But Nick, that's most games, right? Okay, there we go. That's how I am with most games. Let's be real. I play it for a little while. I play it for a couple weeks and then I'm like, okay, I played enough of that. And it's true, it's probably, this will be that kind of game. I'll play the hell out of it for a week or two because I'm totally into it, and then one evening next week I'll just be like, I'm in the mood for something else. I think last time I checked, when I was looking at my library before my stream, I'd put 28 hours into this game. Yeah, you're about ready to get into the game as soon as I'm about done with it. Is that what you're saying, Nick? All right, let's get that relay out here. Once that gets built, in fact, I'm gonna start building the Titan Forge. I'm gonna do it right next to my base. It doesn't matter where it is. It's this forge button you'll be able to open, and it'll just start accumulating points. All right, these guys are coming. My little planes are coming back for a resupply. Some of them, so that's gonna. Let's move them forward a little bit. If it's held my attention for the month, it's probably got pretty good. It's probably pretty good in that staying power. Some games are like that medieval simulator I showed you guys last week. I was really into that, but I feel like it's in very early access, and you get to a point where you're like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I've just done everything. That I think I probably put 30 or 40 hours into that. So for being in that much early access, that was a lot of. It wasn't skimpy on the gameplay, but certain games like that. I don't know if Mike Ladd is still here, but Conan Exiles, games of that sort of world crafting, base building type of thing, you can literally put hundreds and hundreds of hours in. But stuff that's in super early access, yeah, sometimes you get that 30, 40 hour mark and you're like, it's a good game. I'll probably want to play it more when they put more stuff in it. I think I want to move this up. I want to move that up. It's going to be iffy. He just moved into your Conan tower? So this is when you say 28 hours in this, Jesus. Is it because you look at it and you're like, how could someone be into this game for 28 hours? But I'm telling you, this is an example of a game that has really good gameplay. It's not impressive, and not in a Battle Brothers kind of way. This game's got really good gameplay, and it's very satisfying to like beat back the goo. And it can be very hard. Like a lot of games, if I fail over and over, I just stop playing. But like I spent the better part of a whole day just retrying one map because I was like, there's got to be a way to not get overwhelmed by the goo on this map. This map is pretty tame by comparison to some of them that I've encountered. Some of them have things where if you don't get to certain points in a certain amount of time, like the goo will be building up some, like a structure or something, and if it completes, you lose the mission. And there are different ways you can disrupt the building of it, or you can just get rid of all the goo. Alright, I'm really sort of coming to an impasse here, aren't I? The forge is building. I think, yeah, I need more power or power efficiency is the problem. Here, I'm gonna get bold and plop down 3. But the problem we're having down here, oh, he's dying. This one's dying. I move him out. Run away! That thing almost got taken by the goo. So I'm getting beat back a little bit. But I think it's because all the ammo and energy that I'm using is using up resources. And I'm just spread out a little thin. I'm running a more or less a deficit, so nothing's getting as much firepower as it could be using. And we can start it. You incrementally build this up. So like, oh, there's all these little things you build up. This one is energy efficiency. I'm going to focus on that first. Because you have stuff that like longer shooting range, faster shots, but all that stuff will require more energy. So getting energy management sort of like the basic thing you need to do before you can start making other things shoot faster. You need more ammo to shoot more. But it doubles every time. So it was 20 for that first point. Now it's 40 for the next one. That's why it's a good idea to try and get one of these going. There's another one up here. It's going to be a while before I can work my way up to that. So the idea now is to see if I can maximize my energy efficiency so that the stuff that I already have down here can start getting a better leg up on this. Because I might have enough down here to get a good foothold and to break all the way in. If I get close enough to this thing, I can plant a nullifier. You see, when I get closer, the thing turns white and it'll say targets 1. And if I can get this thing built and filled up with weapon energy, first it builds and then it slowly builds up with that red bar, which is normally ammo. If it does that within range of a target, once it's filled, it'll blow up and it'll blow up the target at the same time. So that's how you beat stuff back, is you need to try to beat back the goo close enough to drop one of these nullifiers down, and then the nullifier will take out the goo source. A goo d'état! And looks like an energy surplus is getting a bit under control. Here, before I get... Here, this guy is like not doing anything over here, so I'm just gonna move him up. I think this little thing is one of the bonus things on this map to just collect for... I don't know that it does anything for you. This whole section of the game that I'm in this sort of alternate universe, is all just basically challenges. It's not part of the main storyline. But what the tools that you get throughout the storyline, you get access to more types of weapons and tools. And the tools that you get in the main storyline, you get to bring into this version of the game. So there's a bit of a progression there. Alright, so what happens if I move this up? Hold on, let's get a relay up here for these doohickeys. Yeah, there's in the main game there's a pretty big storyline, and I get the impression that it ties into all the games, because it's, I mean, you can just start in 3 and enjoy the gameplay, but there's this whole thing going on where your character was frozen for like 3 billion years. And I think the character was from the earlier games, like the person that you played in the earlier games, but I'm not sure. Because it's been so long since I played the first one. And by the time he's woken up, they said there's been maybe thousands of major, or at least hundreds of major human civilizations that have risen and fallen over the years. And where they would become huge, like galactic empires, and then every time, and it could be after millions of years, the goo would emerge and destroy them once they reach a certain point, and almost destroy, and then they have to basically start over, and so much time, millions of years would pass until they became advanced again, and they wouldn't remember the goo anymore. And then the goo would come back and destroy civilization again. So the idea is, it's like, you've come back after billions of years, and you're trying to tap into the ruins of these prior human civilizations. You're trying to find the secrets and the technologies that they were developing, all the different ways that they were trying to fight the goo, to see if you can find a way to get rid of them once and for all. Yeah. It's very much just that, of course, the first one of these games came out before Mass Effect, but the way that the story has evolved as of this game could very well have been influenced by Mass Effect, because it's very much like the Reapers. Yeah, Goose Shepherd, totally. And so you go to each planet, and they'll be like, there are different cultures of the past. They'll be like, oh, this was a planet that was this human civilization was very militaristic. And they developed these things, but in the end, the goo got them too. And they'll say, this is out of all of the human civilizations, this was probably the most enlightened. And they made a single discovery and the goo is run by somebody, there's Norse references. So the goo is brought by an entity called Loki. And I've seen reference to like a Thor weapon. So there's some sort of, I don't know exactly how it's supposed to tie in. If it's supposed to be like, oh yeah, the goo is brought by the same entity that was recognized on Earth as Loki, or maybe Earth was one of a sequence of human civilizations that had already been destroyed, and the name of Loki persisted somehow. But yeah, so there's like, yeah, the one human civilization was the most enlightened, and it was the only one that the Loki ever deemed significant enough to communicate with. And when it shared its discovery, or when Loki learned what it was discovering, it said that this civilization, more than any of the others, needed to be destroyed. So goo Loki low-key got goo. Yeah, pretty much like that. Alright. We're gonna have to push forward a little here. I can't build my good goo bombers because I'm already stretched out on goo resources. I'm really having a hard time beating back the goo here enough to... This net if I try to set anything on this blue, on the net where there's blue on it, it'll destroy it. So there's places here where I've actually cleared the surface goo, but the net is still being resaturated with goo. So if I place anything down there, it's going to be destroyed. Let me see how close I'm getting to being able to put a nullifier down. We're still... Alright, hold on. I can upgrade my energy efficiency up to level 4 now. So that could be a game changer. Let's move this up. And maybe I just build another cannon in here. I'm pretty packed tight with cannons, but it's a pretty steep wall of goo coming down at me. Oh no. Okay, hold on. This is getting resaturated. We need to move back. The ebb and flow of the goo. Alright, let me see if I can get that nullifier down. Oh, no, I can't. It's no good. Alright, move up. No, I can't find a good place to put this thing down. Alright, let's try it now. Alright, so things building up. That's basically just destroy the goo makers. It's usually the objective, or some maps, the objective is to just get a particular thing. And it doesn't matter if there's goo left elsewhere on the map. As long as you get the thing or destroy the specific thing that you... Okay, now this is building up. Bam! Very satisfying. And then the place where the stuff is left over, that circle, anything you put there is going to be a super, like, long-range version of itself. So I'll get that relay up there, and I'm going to place just a regular turret on that glowy circle. And it's going to go crazy. Although it might be landing in goo. It won't last for long. It is burning through ammo like a mofo, though. Alright. And now that this is cleared off, I can probably get over to this. Start moving stuff forward here. Do down some more collectors now that I've cleared more areas. Maximize that energy. Yeah, since there's not a lot of new goo getting pumped into this area, a lot of this area, well, it's still a pretty heavy, there's a big wall coming down from the north. It's pretty intimidating. But this little pocket down here is pretty much just going to be, I think, pretty easy to clear out. I think going straight north from here is probably... Is that how you become a Ninja Turtle? The goo? Alright, Forge is still building stuff up. I think we're going to start increasing firing range, fire rate, and the move speed, which I think is like how fast the bullets actually travel. And the packet speed. It's how fast the little things move along the lines. Gonna increase that by a few, and you can see that immediately. These things are shooting across here, like you can see them moving across the relays super fast. Oh, I think some of the problem is that... Let me get one of these relays down here. There's a step up here, and these turrets can't fire over, like, the higher elevation very well. So I was like, well, how come they're not clearing this next thing? I need to get... Let's see, we can also just help clear it out. We'll send the planes over here, too. Let's get a relay. See if we can cut this little area off. Okay, so now it's basically everything that's above this little line here. There is no new goo coming down here. We're gonna connect that. The relay is gonna connect to that, so I'll have more of that upgrade resource coming in. And I think we're gonna start. Actually, maybe there's more mining stuff over here, so it may be best to start moving stuff this direction now. Although the wall's getting pretty high over here. We've got to keep an eye on that. Here, let's move up this way. Because then we can start collecting these resources. Which will be better to take out this mess over here. This goo just started to threaten this area a little bit. Still enough on there to spread out a little bit. Alright, there's a lot of territory here to get energy from now. Is something you'll realize you forgot as you spread out. It's like, oh man, I got like a third of the map now. And whoops, I don't need that one. Alright, so those will start filling in. Alright, let's start moving some of these guys up here. How much could I move out of this area without losing ground is the question. This. I think we can move most of this stuff over here. Yeah, I'll put one over here. This is a pretty steep goo mountain. I don't want to get complacent. Let's see, can I collect this little doohickey though? Alright, so now we're gonna get this bonus guy. Or am I? Okay, yeah, it's filling in. It's giving it resources. I think when it fills up, it's just going to leave the planet. It's going to go into my bonus collection. I got another M artifact. Oh, what got? All right, maybe I got a little complacent over here. Maybe it's time to bring maybe it's time to bring a little bit more firepower to this corner. All right. So yeah, see, I'm slowly carving out my territory. This area is not very deep, so getting into it is pretty. Goo layer. You seen the movie Stargate? You watched it last night for free on YouTube, midway through the movie when they start using subtitles. The YouTube version had no subtitles. It's been forever. I did see the original Stargate back in the, was it the 90s when it came out? I remember my impression was like, some people got flippin' obsessed with that. They loved Stargate, and then there was the TV series and everything else. I won't say I disliked it, but I never had that level of enthusiasm for it. All right, let's move this guy up. I think it came out a little too late for me to get toys. What year did I stop? There was like a particular year that I stopped really being into toys. And it was in 7th grade. I might have been going between 7th and 8th or sometime in 7th grade. I was in junior high school. And I remembered there was another kid that I went to elementary school with, and I overheard him at lunch telling his friends, he's like, man, I don't play with toys anymore. Toys suck. Like, and I was like, what a poser. Like, just because you're in junior high, you can't play with your toys anymore? I said, I'm always going to play with my toys. I don't give a crap if it's like, I'm not supposed to, because and in some ways that mentality is persistent with video games, because I feel the same way about video games. But about 6 months after that incident of hearing them with the toys, me and my friend were playing with our Transformers. We had our Transformers set up all over the living room. And as soon as we sat them up, we just sitting there looking at them. And it's like, can I grab? Hey, it's like, no, I'm not feeling it. Are you feeling it? It's like, no, we're not feeling it. And basically, I never played with them again. I got them out sometimes and looked at them and was like, oh, that's cool, we'll transform or whatever. But the whole thing where it was like, oh, we telling these epic stories and battles, and it's like, there was one day, it was just like, I'm not feeling this right now. It's like, no, me neither. We need to stop doing that. Oh, I used to play the hell out of my toys. I loved all the Transformers, and they all had their little personalities and their little stats that came on the box. And you watch the show, and they all like had different. So you do the voices, and there was the grumpy ones and the chipper ones, and oh man, no, I was totally into it. Let's get the planes pushing slightly more inward, shall we? And then it was boobs. That actually did coincide. I didn't make a conscious connection where it's like, I can't play with toys because then no one with boobs will want to talk to me. There was never a moment where it was like that, where I made that kind of, like, oh, I have to pay attention to boobs instead of this. But it did seem like with about that same year, there were more boobs happening around me. That's when, like, people started hitting puberty. By sheer coincidence. G.I. Joe, Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park was a little late. G.I. Joe was popular when I was a kid. But I had a couple G.I. Joe toys. I didn't really get too much into them. I loved Transformers. Any of you remember Jace and the Wheeled Warriors? It was a weird set of toys. And they made a cartoon. And Jace had a ring. And every episode, like, he'd say, Ring of Light, Magic Might. And it would glow real bad and, like, kill all the bad guys. And I was like, why didn't he just use that ring, like, the beginning of the episode? But, yeah, that was a show that I enjoyed. And hello, Shane. Shane, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Happy 2021. It's my first stream of the new year. All right, we need to redirect those planes a little bit. Get them on that higher elevation. Because the problem is it's all running downhill here. Okay, I need to move some of these guys up. My perimeter remains established. It is 4:37 p.m. I get confused about how time works, because it's 10:07 a.m. I know time zones generally work in 1 hour increments. So it's like platform 9 3/4. There's a time zone that's at exactly like something and a half hours. Friday afternoon in Australia. That checks. Checks out. Oh yeah, my forge. My forge is getting all sorts of stuff. Let's see, energy. Let's get some ore efficiency. That's good. Do some energy efficiency for good measure. Ore efficiency. Let's get a little bit of that range. There we go. Are there time zones that are at the half hour? Because I didn't know that before. But this is the second time that I've heard someone say it, and it may have been Shane also just saying it one of the other times he came in. That it was exactly at a half hour increment different from my time zone. I was like, hey, that a thing? Alright, let's move up. This guy looks like he's slacking. I should probably clear this little dude out. Yeah. Now you can see it's progressing quite nicely. Alright, so that's taken care of. Alright, let's get a relay up here. And get another ore mine on that. Alright, that should take care of that corner of the goo. And let's fill in our collectors. So much energy is happening. Oh yeah, energy is no longer to be a problem. I'm bringing in 72 energy. I'm only using 20, so we're good. I could even start bringing in some of the higher... There's certain things that cost more energy, like, for example, a shield. We'll build a shield here. Get another relay. We'll build a shield where the goo's not touching. Let's see, is anyone not contributing? They're too far away from the front. I am making extremely great goo games. Thank you, Nick. I'm glad you can appreciate this. Let's see. Let's get the. Let's just really go for the jugular on this one, shall we? Or should I wrap around and get this? This one's not in the middle of a net. Maybe we should push and get this one first. That'll relieve pressure so this one stops. This one will be easier to take out, and these ones are pretty entrenched in all this glue shit. So, yep, I like my new strategy. Let's move the shield up. To watch 5 movies a week? That's quite an ambitious New Year's resolution. Oh no, we're so taking this thing out right now. I don't need to fight for this hill. I can get the nullifier up there now. It's only the... What just blew up? My nullifier. Alright, maybe I will have to move some stuff up after all. Somehow my nullifier got nullified. Another relay. Push forward. All right. Don't be complacent. What? Where? Oh, okay. So there's definite ebb and flow that's happening here. I put one of my relays on this webbing, and the flow part of the ebb and flow took it out. That's what this webbing is. Can be kind of unpredictable. All right, we're blowing the shit out of this thing though. Like there's not even goo's not even making its way out. Okay, well fuck that. The nullifier also doesn't need to be sitting directly next to the damn thing. I keep parking it like almost touching the goo node. Alright, that's gonna take a minute to build up. Meanwhile, I got some forge points to spend. Let's see, what should we do? Still use a little ore efficiency and there. Move forward from the high ground. Oh yeah, there's one of these doohickeys. Let's redirect our planes as well. Let's have them just go straight at the heart of this bastard. Oh yeah, we're kicking the shit out of this. One more nullifier coming right up. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we got this in the bag at this point. They cannot resist our anti-goo wave. The wave of good goo and anti-goo. These guys aren't even fighting anything anymore. Get in there. Here, I think I can start another nullifier going. relay. Let's get the bombers going in on this guy now. Oh no, there's still I can't forget that node down there. It's only not a threat because a million things are shooting it. If I start taking my million things away, it can start making a comeback. That's the way the creeper works. Alright. Gonna hit a relay. This guy down. Get some going straight across here. It's overkill now. But, you know, I want to build a mine. A mine? Alright, last nullifier. And just for overkill's sake, let's have all my planes bombing the absolute living shit out of the very last goo generator. Alright, move up. That's it. And it only took an hour, and it's got like a ranking thing, but I think the ranking thing is kind of bullshit. Unless you get some really, really powerful stuff later in the game and people go back. But look at the number one guy's name. Number one guy's name is Cheater. He got almost 10,000 points. He somehow beat that map in 2 seconds. I'm not quite sure. I don't care how energy efficient you are or how well you can place your nodes. I don't think you could wipe out that map of all of its goo generators in 2 seconds. And the next guy, Rodash, it took him 55 seconds. That makes a little more sense. But yeah, you see all these people, 55 seconds, 56 seconds. Yeah. Or it's either all cheats, or at some point, if you keep grinding out all this bonus stuff, maybe you get something that's so damn powerful where you're just like, oh, if it's a standard creeper world, all I need to do is like place my my Death Star base on the planet and hit the fire button and it all goes. As soon as it lands, it just blows everything up. I'm more inclined to agree that probably somebody's cheating. But Nick, maybe it could be that Cheater's a cheater. It could very well be. I don't even submit my score because... yeah. So, now there's... that one has a time on it, so I know I've done it. And it's the green, and there's... I think the green... does the green circle mean I've done it too? This planet's got a lot of stuff on it, though. But you see, this is the... in the first star system, I think there was only one planet. Let me see. Yeah, this first one started with only one planet. And that's when you first enter this... what is this region called? It's called the Prospector Zone. And in the main... you have to unlock it in the main storyline. So in the main storyline, you started here. You go all the way up to here. And then these two offshoots unlock... You as you progress there, and get through these planets, you can unlock the Prospector Zone and the Tormented Space Zone. So, and then once those are unlocked, you can access Tormented Space, and I haven't even been to Tormented Space yet. I don't know what's in there. Okay, just another big-ass galaxy. Which, essentially, if you're into the game, and each one of these planets, back in, like, at the Prospector Zone, we'll go back to where I was. 1 of 9. Let's just say, if you just like the basic formula of this game, there's a million things to do. And I think there's also colonial space. This is player creations. I haven't even looked at these yet. Hey, look, there's a 2021 map. Apparently, there's still a very active community. So if you get through the 1,000 or so planets that the developers made, you can always come check out the probably ridiculously infinite player-made maps. So, yeah. Let's see. That was a good deal. Yeah, free. Yeah, so far Creeper World 4 has not been on sale yet. But when I saw it, I kind of got excited, but then I was like, I looked at these past ones, like Creeper World 3 is normally $15, but it was on sale for like 99 cents during, like, when I became interested, I looked during the winter sale. It's like, oh, it's 99 cents. Yeah, I'm gonna get that. So I think it's the most gameplay I've gotten out of 99 cents in several years. What, 2 parts, 1 talking and 1 part gameplay. On brand, yeah. I mean, at first I wasn't even sure there was gonna be a game. Hold on, I'll show you the, Oh no, sorry, Josh. Ah, just kidding. Why is this so odd? I must have been doing something really screwy. Transform. Let me just reset transformation. There we go. I forget what I was doing on this portion, but apparently it was disturbing, and Joss, probably you wouldn't like it if I let it proceed. Oops, wrong one. So yeah, the release of Creeper World 4, which is $25 and has only ever been $25 because they're just released like 2 or 3 weeks ago. That's what got me thinking about Creeper World again. And when I was looking at, I was like, oh damn, Creeper World 3, only a few years old, but it looks just like I remember Creeper World 1. It might be better. I don't know. There might be more pixels or something these days. I don't know. But I got all excited about it, and then I got Creeper World 3, and I've been playing the dickens out of it, having fun with it. And the thing is, yeah, the 3D one looks pretty good. They're a couple decades behind. That's the kind of interesting thing, is it's just one of those games where when you play it, there's certain games it doesn't matter if it's 3D or not, you know? I mean, well, for some people would. But it's just the gameplay is just fun. And it's dirt cheap. No one's ever heard of it. I don't know how big the development, it might be one dude or a handful of dudes. But when I was looking at Creeper World 4, looking at reviews, and there were some people that were saying like, yeah, it's definitely a step forward technologically, but Creeper World 3 still has a lot more gameplay. Like they thought Creeper World 4 reeled it in a little bit even. But I don't know. It looks good. I definitely want to play that, but I thought everyone's saying how great they're, you know, 3 was what everyone's saying is the best. Some people like he played 4 even are like, now 3 is still better. Handful of dudes. Copyright GLaw 3.0. Oh, well, GLaw 3.0 copyright. I'm hoping that me showing their trailer is not going to trigger a claim, because usually you pay someone to show an advertisement. I don't know. I feel like a small studio, like the Creeper World series, is it's got a cult following, and the people that mostly that try it end up really liking it and being really into it, but barely anybody's heard of it. So something tells me the developer is not going to be upset that I plugged their new game. They're going to go, what the fuck is this guy doing? He didn't ask our permission to advertise our game to his audience of 9 people. That's right. I've been spreading the love 9 people at a time for your goo games. Got it in the goo bag. I was just looking to see. The cult of goo? Not like a literal cult. Do not question the goo cult, Nick. It's the gameplay. The secret is the gameplay. How did I end up playing 28 hours in a week? It's got the gameplay. That's how. Here, everyone's looking at it like, what the hell did we just watch for an hour? I think maybe a couple of people had seizures once everything started flying around the screen too much. And they woke up and they're like, the gameplay. Alright. Well, it's 10:30. Let the goo times roll. See, Nick, I don't know if you'd be into the game, but you certainly seem to enjoy talking about the goo. And now the goo is the creeper, but it's easier to. It is literally blue goo that goes across, slowly creeps across everything. Good times. Okay. Well, I've been streaming for over 3 hours, which is pretty respectable for me these days. It's a school night, everything. I think I am going to call it a night. Again, everyone, thanks for being here. Happy New Year. 2021, baby. It's off to a rockin' start. We'll see where it goes, but I'm optimistic, and I wanted to make my message of optimism known So yeah, all right. Yeah, it's a school night. I don't know if there's school or not, but the weekdays will always, in my mind, be a school night. Thursday is a school night. One more day, then it's the weekend. When is hold on. Is it the 18th? Yeah, and then next weekend is a 3-day weekend for me, so that's pretty awesome. It's off to a start. 2020 Part 2. Yeah, it definitely started. You know what? It's a little bit like the Hobbit trilogy, where the end of the Desolation of Smaug, everything's looking like pretty bad, and then at the end of the Desolation of Smaug, Smaug takes off to go destroy Lake Town, and credits roll. For people who haven't watched that shit, sorry, Joss. Whatever. The book's been around since the 30s. I should not spoil anything. So, and then in the beginning of the final movie, the dragon attacks Lake Town. But that situation unfolds relatively quickly. That's how I think 2021 is going to be. For the whoever has watched the Hobbit trilogy. It's like we just came out of the Desolation of Smaug and we're entering the Battle of Five Armies. There's going to be some bullshit up ahead. But I think we're going to win in the end. But yeah, I don't think it needed to be a trilogy of 3-hour movies. Yeah, that was not a great way. I agree. It was kind of one of those things where it's like, what? You're gonna end it there? I mean, it does make for the third movie opening with a very explosive intro. So we need to get a Legolas where? There was one in the Hobbit movies. There's a Gandalf. Legolas was never in the Hobbit movies, but they did go to Mirkwood in the Hobbit, where Legolas lives. So of course, if they're gonna go where we all know Legolas lives, before Tolkien had invented Legolas, but we now know from Lord of the Rings that's where Legolas lives. Of course he's got to show up. Oh, in real life to start fixing shit. We have his little his little virus bow and arrow, or it's just like a little itty bitty bow and arrow where he shoots viruses. He's like poo 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 poo, pulls it into the. It should have been one 7-hour movie. I think we could have gotten away with one 3.5-hour movie. Truth be told, I think we could have gotten. Now I don't dislike the trilogy because they did pack it with Tolkien-esque lore. They took some creative liberties not everyone agreed with, but I can kind of roll with the extended way they present it and the extra stuff they pack into it. That a lot of it is stuff that was actually happening in Middle Earth during the time of The Hobbit, leading into Lord of the Rings, that just wasn't in The Hobbit. But then later, when Lord of the Rings came out, there's all these appendices and all these details about what was happening in the world leading up to Lord of the Rings, and it's revealed that, like, oh yeah, in The Hobbit, when Gandalf says, oh, I gotta go somewhere for a little while, where he went was all this stuff. Yeah, there's some Silmarillion. I guess the Silmarillion goes straight up until the beginning of Lord of the Rings. I'm trying to think the things like where they go to Rivendell, and then they have, like, then Gandalf is there and Saruman's there, and they have this meeting. that wasn't in The Hobbit, but probably there was a meeting like that around that time to discuss like the possibility that the ring is a problem or that Sauron's returning. We know that was happening. I need to look at the Silmarillion again. I love the last about 150 pages of the Silmarillion. I liked all of it, but a lot of it felt very dry, very sterile, like epic histories. And not where you necessarily get to know. It's not like storytelling where you get to know characters or anything like that. It's very much like a this happened and then this happened and then that year this happened and then it'll be a little thing that feels a little bit more like a fairy tale, where it's, you know, and then they went to this place and he fought this thing and just when he was about to lose, this happened. It's just very much an account of what happened, not so much and then he was pinned to the ground and he spun over and in the last moment he slashed underneath with the monster's belly. It's not like that going on. Yeah, we gotta clear it up. Do I have my Silmarillion in here still from when I read it to you guys before? Nope, I don't have my Silmarillion in here right now. You're gonna have me start with The Hobbit and finish Lord of the Rings, then the appendices, and then double back to Silmarillion to see how it all fits together into the larger, entire history of the world. That checks out. But that is something I can't remember offhand, is where Silmarillion ends. I know in the last 100 or so pages of Silmarillion, it gets into the Second Age and the rise of Sauron. And I found the Sauron's background in the Second Age. Now, Sauron made appearances in the First Age, but it was still very much like he just was there was the big bad that Sauron worked for, and occasionally they'd reference Sauron. And then when the big bad got banished, then Sauron became the new big bad. And when Sauron became the big bad, it was pretty interesting, like the story of Sauron throughout the Second Age. Then play the Shadow of Mordor games on stream. Could we do a board game version of War of the Ring, the one that I showed you with the giant map that takes 3 hours to set up? Does it summarize the whole War of the Ring? See, that's what I couldn't remember, is if it led up to the Lord of the Rings, or if it like summarized the entire, like that, over that whole period as well. So yeah, then I guess I would. But I loved all that backstory. I liked all the Silmarillion, but once it really started getting into Sauron and the men of Numenor, Aragorn's like Minas Tirith's ancestors, and like the tree, like it all ties back to the very beginning. Like the Silmarils are these special gems that were like capture the light of the sacred tree from basically the elves' version of heaven. And they kept like the tree, white tree of Gondor is something like a very distant minor descendant tree of one of the great trees of that like that gave birth to the Silmarils. It's been a long time since I read Silmarillion, but suddenly you start seeing things in Lord of the Rings that you knew they were significant, but you didn't understand why. And when you realize, like, oh, the white tree in Minas Tirith, that ties back all the way back to the beginning of the Silmarillion, the beginning of like Elvenkind, at the start of the world. It's kind of cool. Yeah, it was the light of Elendil. And the Silmarils were like the ring. There were 3 of them. And they had the light of the sacred trees. And I can't remember if the trees were still there or if they used the trees to make the Silmarils. And then they became so coveted that people fought and died and ruined themselves trying to like fight with the Dark One to like the Mordreth or whatever his name is, who was Sauron's predecessor, was always trying to get him. And the elves would do anything like to their own ruin to try to get it back or to keep it from getting stolen. And so that was Elendil, was someone who took a Silmaril. So that's part of the idea, is taking the Silmaril places where no one could get them again. And Elendil was put on a ship that sailed into the stars. I don't know, it was after he died or what? Well, they're elves, so they don't really die. He was on he took a Silmaril onto a ship that sailed into the stars. And that was the thing that Frodo got, was somehow the light shed by Elendil's star, which was a Silmaril, captured in a vial and given to Frodo, right? Became Venus. See, I didn't know that. That's tied way into our real world in ways that I didn't know. Although I know Middle Earth is supposed to be geographically where England is. But in the history of Lord of the Rings, the world gets reformed a bunch of times. And I don't think it's literally supposed to be like, hey, yeah, back when Henry VIII was around, there was also this War of the Ring happening. No, everyone forgot about it. It's not like that. I think it's supposed to be something that happened in that region before any recorded or known civilization was happening. And the earth was shaped differently. The lands were shaped differently. Just learn Elvish on stream before we break. Yeah, well, that could take a lot of time, Nick. Do you really have that sort of time and energy right now? And it is 10:48. If I recall, I did say I got it. It's a school night, remember? We can't be learning the Elvish language right before, like, starting at 10:48, Nick. That's ridiculous. That might be right, Nick. I don't know. I know that the world was, at the time, like throughout the Silmarillion, and at the various times, it was not what it is now. It very well could have been flat, and there were these realms the further away you went from Middle-earth. Because Middle-earth was just like the mortal realm. And that's where all the Lord of the Rings and stuff happened. And then there were like west and across the ocean there was like an island of the actual gods. And then there was another island that they gave to the elves. And it's where the elves, their immortal beings exist. Or if they die in Middle-earth, that's where they return. And that's why elves are immortal. Even if they're killed, they return to this special undying land. Ea was pissed at the humans for trying to sail the west, so he unflattened it. Okay, see, that's a bunch of stuff I don't remember at all. I just know that every once in a great cosmic while, the gods be like, no, it's time to have something cause all the maps to shift. So for good huge portions of like the first age, if you see maps of the first age and you're familiar with the map of Middle-earth as it is in Lord of the Rings, you'll look and you'll be like, are those the nothing's called anything familiar for the most part. And you'll look and go, are those the Misty Mountains? Like, I can sort of see the Middle-earth that I know, But there's a lot more land where there shouldn't be land. And there's... nothing seems to quite check out. Like, but there are areas where it's very clearly like, I'm almost certain that's Mordor down there. It's like surreal going from being a Lord of the Rings fan to like then later. For me, it was like, I read Lord of the Rings when I was 12. I didn't understand half of it when I read it, but I was totally into it. And I reread it, and it wasn't until I was in probably my mid to late 20s that I reread it, and I read the Silmarillion. And yeah, it was the 50 Mountains. I feel like you're making that up, Nick. 50 Mountains doesn't sound real. But the elves could still sail west by the straight path. Okay. Well, if only I had my copy of the Silmarillion handy. And then we could read that whole thing together. And, I would get that kind of weird energy where it's like, yeah, I need to go to bed, but now that I've toyed with the idea of just staying up all night reading the Silmarillion out loud on live stream, I think I'm gonna do it. But only if you get punched in the 50 Mountains. That sounds terrible. It's like, why do they call it the 50 Mountains? Like, just don't go there if you don't want to get punched. That's all I'm gonna say. Oh, so it's literally the fifth. I told you not to ask any more questions. I don't want to talk about it. Oh, okay. There's some islands off of the modern map Middle Earth that were the mountains of... I didn't realize that. I knew that there was that whole area of Beleriand, or however you say it, where a bunch of important shit happened. Very, like, historic things happened, where it's like, one of the major elven kingdoms was down there, right? And it's like this huge forest lands, and I'm pretty sure that's all ocean. Like, nope, the land stops, and none of that stuff's there anymore. If you get punched, you're lucky. Oh, maybe you do want to get punched then. I don't know the lore of the 50 Mountains. Oh wait, no, never mind. I was like, maybe there's something where it's like finding a 4-leaf clover. Getting punched is good luck. But no, you're saying you're lucky because it's not the other thing that is associated with being fisty. And hey, Beck, I need to extend my apologies to you for not responding last night. I told Nick that I saw you. You guys have got me thinking about Dead by Daylight again too. Usually I only play it in October, but I after getting a little taste of it last week with you guys, I'm thinking I may be playing it again. Start playing it again. But yeah, both of you sent me messages last night, and I didn't even see them till I was getting ready for work this morning. So sorry I missed it. I think I was too, or maybe I saw it, but I was already drifting to sleep. I was tired yesterday. Yesterday was exhausting, and so by 8 o'clock I was already in bed, like with the lights off, looking at YouTube videos. But now I had a lot of fun playing last time. We just need to get Jaws to play. We'll never get Brad Pritchard to play. He will never play. Also, he's in China, so probably his connection would be terrible. So, but yes, you're hitting the end of my stream. This is, in fact, this is about a half hour past my ending. But what always happens is I put up the thank you screen and then I talk for another 45 minutes to an hour. That's how the stream starts. The stream starts on my welcome screen. Right? And then I think we were on the welcome screen for about an hour. I had no plan. I didn't know what I was going to play. There's a game I've been playing. I didn't know if it would go good on a stream. And I was like, well, let me just show you the game I've been playing. Played that for about an hour and a half. And then we came back to the goodbye, thank you for watching screen. Nick is the master of keeping me talking. You got me talking about Lord of the Rings lore and history and the Silmarillion. And then we got James Baker. James Baker, who's like a walking encyclopedia of like the really obscure, maybe it's not obscure if I'd read it. James, have you read all those like the unfinished tales? There's so many volumes that Tolkien's son put together. Like thousands of pages of, there were drafts, multiple early drafts of Lord of the Rings and like all sorts of notes he had about the world. Crazy stuff. I haven't even touched. I just know that they're I've only read the stuff that Tolkien actually wrote and published. I've never read any of that, the thousands of pages of stuff that his son Christopher republished. Yeah, now most streams, it's pretty rare that a stream comes along where I don't play anything, but those do happen. I'll come in a stream, I'll have no particular game planned, and then an hour into it, it'll be like, yeah, I'll show you guys this thing I've been playing. Oh, your mom did? Okay, I gotcha. Yeah, this was my, this scene was what I used for I had a 5-year anniversary stream. And I made it all kind of like artificially sappy, like, welcome to 5 years of the Gaming Lawyer channel. Well, over the years, many things. And so I had this whole like mood I was going for. It was gonna be artificially like cheesy. There have been good times and bad times, but through it all, you know, whatever. So this was my sophisticated G-Law 3.0. Because G-Law 2.0 was a little crude. Not everyone liked G-Law 2.0. There's a lot of tight zooms on my mouth while I was eating nuts. I don't know why. Some people really liked it, like Brad. Other people hated it. So G-Law 3.0 was a sophisticated reboot of the G-Law entity. And this is all part of it. Welcome to G-Law 3.0. G-Law 3.0. More civilized than G-Law 2.0. There's no tight zooms on mouths chewing on nuts here. No. It's all classy G-Law all the time. All right. Speaking of classy G-Law and tight and creeping up on microphones, it is time to end the stream. Beck, I'm sorry you missed all the fun. Were you streaming tonight? What was G-Law 4.0 gonna be? Somebody brought up G-Law 4.0 tonight, and I can't remember what the context was. I hadn't invented G-Law 4.0 yet. It'll be the eyeball zoom on. I think G-Law 2.0 already did an eyeball zoom, didn't he? We're gonna call it a night. I'd like to thank you all for being here. Happy New Year once again. Beck, Happy New Year. We made it to 2021. I'm confident that by the end of 2021, we'll maybe be in a better place than we are now, but it could be a windy road to get there. Keep your spirits up. I think we're gonna be okay. Oh, drunk stream ranting about politics. Oh God, no. That'd be flipping awful. Is that what it was? All right. But don't leave until I've sung the lullaby, which is now that it's time for the stream to end. Everyone's so excited. Everyone gets so excited watching me play Creeper World 3, which I'm sure had everyone glued to the screen. with tremendous enthusiasm. And now it's time to relax. I got you all worked up. We talked about Tolkien and the Silmarillion. You got all your energy up talking about Tolkien and the Silmarillion, Lord of the Rings, the Hobbits, all that stuff. Now it's time to bring the energy back down. Just relax a little bit. It's a school night. We got some sleep to do. Unless you're Brad and it's the middle of the day on a Friday afternoon. So he's getting close to it not being a school night. The rest of us, let's dim the lights. Just gonna dim the lights here. Just remember, it's just time to relax. Gotta be soothing. Nick, I know you like to stay up late, but you should take a deep breath. Maybe get a little extra sleep tonight. Maybe you can dream of the elvish gods. All right. And take a deep breath. Exhale. Go to sleep. And good night. Your eyes are getting so heavy. Go to sleep now. Brad Pitchard, Beck Steiner, Nick C. Justin, go to sleep. Noxiah, James Baker, I'll be waiting for you in your dreams. Just let it happen.